This home for my mother.
And the boy she raised.
Every time I do that, I miss my old producer and engineer, Butter, Common Sense, because it would have been so much better if Butter was here. That's why I called him Butter. You know, he was smooth and slick as snot on a doorknob. Or if you like, he was smooth as butter. And so I wasn't, it was just abruptly a little bit of a bumper tune. But I do say this, Common, as we keep continuing on this strange journey that we have embarked upon, I will do my best to have a bumper. I'm looking into licensure, because like that piece of music that I just used, it's an old tune by a band called Soul Hat, and that song's called Bone Crusher, and I love another one called Good to Be Gone, and I'm looking into that. So let me put it this way, of course, if we had to pay $10,000 to be able to use a set amount of genre, a set of music, I don't know how else to say it, like a grouping of music, because that seems like how they do it. If you, some big songs, like you pay a giant licensing fee for that song, and then what I'm looking at is trying to find blocks of songs that if you play a licensure for, you're able to use it. It's just being hard. It's getting to be hard for me as I'm delving into it to find people like this. I mean, the stuff I want to use. And like I said, if it's same with you, I mean, if you throw me a list, it's like, well, here's some songs that I like. If they're not in the public domain, I look into them. And then of course, like I said, if it's not 10,000 quid, then, if it's like $5, $5, whatever, we do it. But anyway, it's so good to be here. It's so good to be back. I think it worked out. I did the math. It wasn't 24 hours, but to all my detractors and all my haters, man, I was up for a long time doing that. If I put in my time, believe it or not, I did planning before, and then I add into The Quiet Place, which is something that I did right before that with Jeremy Maddox.
Yeah, I was there. I remember it was a good show.
Yeah. I mean, I got Common Sense. I have right around 36 hours into that. I crashed for 15 hours. So how you doing, brother? I'm going to try to pop up some news and look at Drudge because I'm derelict in my duties. I was behind on everything today when I woke up. I got to it. I haven't even provided you with a show map. So tell us what's going
on. Well, I don't really have too much at the minute that's going on. To be honest, I've set out my video for my my petition that I'm going to be doing, the one that I posted on Twitter. I've set up the video, I've recorded it, the petition is up, it's live at this moment in time. I'll be producing a video tomorrow that goes out tomorrow. That will have all the links and all the information that anybody would need to be able to do that. But if you want to find it at this moment in time, it's on 38 Degrees, which is a website. You can go and find it, and it is the denationalising of the BBC. That is what it is under at this moment in time, the petition to stop the tax coming out of the BBC. In other words, in January 2016, rather than it being a service charge now, it's now changed and is now a collectible tax. But guess who collects that tax? The BBC collect it themselves. They hold on to the money. They then actually go give it back to the government, and then the government will then give it back to the BBC. My gripe with that is, which is completely different to what I actually put on before I actually did some more research on it, is the fact that it is now a tax, and you're taxing for the whole TV license. So instead of it just being a tax for the BBC, for using the BBC, is actually classified as a tax for the BBC, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, cable, everything. It is a licensed tax that now comes out of everything. But it still only goes to the BBC. So if it's a tax that is provided for everything, why is it not being shared out for everything? And if it's not going to be shared out for everything, then why are we paying tax to the BBC? But yeah, that's what I've been doing recently. I feel that we have a little bit more of an important bit of news that's going on at this moment in time. If Ogre wants to carry on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm responding to so I can do it this way now that you've passed it off to me. Yes, as a matter of fact, Binary Surfer, I am having a sex change. They're going to make me a man. I will be a trans man. I feel like I was born a man. You know, I feel like that. I mean, you look at me now and you see the feminine side of the ogre. And I understand that it's unaccepted because I've used hormone replacement therapy and whatnot. But yes, I will be going under the knife, and they will be installing an 18-inch dong and massive pectoral muscles. So yeah, I'll be undergoing that next week. But thank you very much for being here, Max Bear. It's always fun to have you. By the way, I've sent you. I don't pester, and if you look at your last message sent from me, it was a request for some art, and I would sure appreciate it if you get back with me. Your prices are more than reasonable. They're actually low, and you do good artwork. So welcome. And no, I just noticed this one thing. I was going to pull up the Drudge Report, Common Sense, and because, you know, we had our, what is it, Grammys? We had that thing where they give stuff to people that do crap, and it's music.
I think it's called the Grammys. Yeah, the Oscars is for the acting. I think the Grammys is for the music. I think, though, I'm not sure.
I'm almost positive you're right. It's Grammy because a gramophone. Anyway, it's a Grammy. And there's like one white person in country music for the first time ever. Didn't even, since it's been a thing, there was nothing country music to even be recognized. And so, you know, I was going to bring that up.
Before you go any further, you would have thought that the bloke that was doing sort of the songs on the Las Vegas shooting that happened, or the mass shooting that happened there, you think that he would have possibly have got one, you know, just for being there?
Yes. Look, I'm not going to keep looking to the chat, you filthy pigs, because Binary Surfer, I got to say this, Binary Surfer just said, you know how I got an 18-inch penis? I cut it in half. That's good. That's a good one. Anyway, carry on. The schoolmaster's not here, so I have to pretend that he is, and just I will look to his picture and imagine a ringing bell, and I will stay off the chat. Let's stay off the 7th grade stuff though. So what was that you were saying so poignantly there before I got distracted? I'm not even going to read it right now. I have to pay attention.
No, that's fine. All I was saying was that you would have thought that with country music and everything else like that, you know, because what happened at Las Vegas with the shooting and that, and the fact that he was playing, I can't remember his name, God bless him, that was playing and everything else like that with the whole concert that was going on. You thought that he would have at least got one just for like, I don't know, showing up.
Jason Aldean was his name, but we had something come up not too long ago, and on the Quiet Hour, like you said, you were involved. I really enjoyed Jeremy Maddox. I really did. Not sure what I appreciated him coming by, and he's welcome to come by, you know, every couple months or something, as long as you're okay with it and whatnot. But you know, I mean, it was like saying about a co-host. So anybody that saw that, because I just seen something beautiful happen, Common Sense. Welchschmidt Stories and Captain Coalpile have made this. They come together and have made it's a wonderful pairing of people. And yes, Captain Coalpile, man, I can't do it. Look, I just gave him a big plug, and if I do it too much, it's like you said about the thing. But if you haven't, go sub to Captain Coalpile. Man, he's really good. Him and Welchschmidt Stories too are very underrated. They're right there with Common Sense Guy. I go through my deal because I don't always comment. I'm sorry, Common Sense Guy, and to everyone, because usually I'm listening to you on my Bluetooth while I'm doing my work, and it's just on a playlist I made my own little antenna that I put to the Bluetooth on my computer. And so it broadcasts a powerful, I shouldn't say much because I don't think the FCC would say much about it. I don't know though. They say you're only supposed to have so much power, and I'm sure it's under that. Let me just make that clear. I'm sure it's way under that. But so I can hear, when I get in my truck and go to the store, I can hear it 1.5 miles away. I can still hear my Bluetooth. Yeah, I got a regular old, like a CB antenna that I've worked into it, but that's right on top of my house. And toward town, I'm giving myself a lot of credit because toward town, there's no trees, mate, for a long way. There's
Yeah,
fields. My uncle owns that. Well, he's deceased, but my uncle's farm. Anyway, make a long story short, most of the people that I watch on a day-to-day basis and that I really find interesting, it's like, man, I don't, and you just started. In fact, those three just started, but there's other ones like a lady named Mad Woman Muses, and she probably would be mad at me for mentioning her name because I don't think she likes me. I don't comment on her stuff. I just love her. I like her content. I really do. And for myself, if I enjoy, in fact, let's take enjoy out of it. If I'm informed, because Common, when you first started out, I liked your videos, but you've got a good learning curve. You shot right up there from a guy that just seemed like he just got a camera and just started doing it to someone that's learned how to really get an idea across, let it flow well, and get the thing down. I'm going to quit now. I hope that we continue like this, and that after all the stuff I've seen happening on YouTube, all the shadow bans or whatever just happened, and all this stuff, and the talk of now there's too many kids being exploited and who's next, man, I hope that I can continue to watch us little fries and that we can continue to grow.
Well, I think that's one of the really good things about people like Welshman Stories and obviously Captain Copile and myself to a degree. I mean, I only started properly in the end of July, I believe. It was the first time I put a video up. So I haven't been going for particularly too long, but as you said, I've had quite a good learning curve. I've had obviously people helping me as well along the way. So I can't just say that it's completely my talent, so to speak. But I've always been more comfortable being able to talk to people rather than through a microphone. So I've always been more comfortable talking to people face to face. I've always been quite good at being able to convey my ideas to people and explain it in a simplistic way, because otherwise I just wouldn't understand it myself. So that's one reason why I do it that way, not because I feel that I'm trying to speak to the lowest denominator, but simply because I am the lowest denominator. So if I can understand it, then probably around about 99% of people will be able to understand what's going on. So I generally do it that way because I feel that it's easier. A lot of people come into criticism for me trying to say that I'm too long-winded when I do my videos. I mean, I do understand where that comes from. I really do. It's just the point that I like to convey all the information that's in front of me. So
Well,
I'm not trying to hide anything.
in common sense, let me say it now out loud, since other people are so ready to say that to you. You also have to pander to people like myself. That, like I said, you are on one of my playlists while I'm working. I'll be honest. On my playlist, there are no people that don't do a regular show, 15 to 35 minutes. And why? Because the 5-minute things is when you're sitting down watching it. So I know it's a smaller audience, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but remember, you are also doing something that I love. I like it. My favorite ones of yours are 38, 40 minutes long. So carry on.
No, it's just that I like putting all the information out there. I don't like it when you get some people that provide you with the information and all the links in the description, but don't actually provide you with the information in the video. I always found that when I was learning to do stuff, if it was in the video, I would listen and I would remember it more. I would retain the information more. So that's why I do it in that particular way. So other people that watch my videos can go, well, no, he's got the information there. And yeah, I really don't purvey a concise message simply because I don't script my videos either.
No, I would call it a stream of consciousness. Those are also, there's very few people, Britisher is one of them, very few people that can pull that off of script. You have to be good to be able to read a script. And for me, to entertain me. So I just love, that's another reason I like your content. Because like Captain Colepile, when he sets his little thing up there, his isn't long form, his are very short. He's one of the few. In fact, I said there was none, so he's one of the few that are in there. I guess Nachi Free is another one that's in there that's very short. Anyway, I keep cutting you off.
No, you're all right. Yeah, but
I'm thinking about this because stream of consciousness is beautiful. When I listen to you, the nice thing about it is this. Now, if you're painstaking, like the British, or like some other people I know, and you think it over 1,000 times, rewrite. By the time you're done, the first thing you wrote looks nothing like the end result, nothing, because you've already thought it all. It's nothing else will compare with that stream of consciousness. Because when I'm listening to you, sometimes I can tell that you've just, bam, something, boom, clicked while you were relaying this information. And I mean, it's the best way to me.
Well, that's the reason why I do the videos the way I do. I normally get a story, and a story that affects me, as in it's tickled me in some way. It's hit my funny bone, so to speak. So I then start reading the story, and then I pick up from what I already know. And then as soon as I find out what I've already said, say for instance, I've picked up that I know that there's more people that are in ties with council workers that have more ties with terrorist organizations. I can say that, and once I've got through all of that, I can then search for my links, because I know for a fact that that's the way it is, so I can actually put that in there. And with certain things, I feel that working with a script is fine and all dandy, but that's only if you can act. And I feel that the best way of purveying a message is why it's fresh in your mind, and as you can actually feel it. Because with some of the stuff that I do, my voice does go up and down, simply because I enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah, but I don't agree with you in one way, that it's got nothing to do with acting, because that's what I was trying to say before. So I'm glad you opened this door, because I wasn't trying to kick you, for your first videos, but your acting skills weren't honed yet. You weren't in the process of honing them. Like I said, you're just a guy with a mic and a computer. As you started to listen, I believe that you're your hardest critic. I know that you asked me to look at, so I ask you to look. We bounce stuff off each other like everyone does. But I think you're your hardest critic. In most cases, I don't think you need to ask anybody, because you go. And there's the point. So reading a script may take a certain kind of acting prowess, but it's the same thing. What you're doing it's the same thing. It's a method. You're not just being common sense cat reading the news while he's at his flat. That's not what you're doing. You're now, because that's what you did when you started. You're now realizing, okay, I'm reading the news and I'm conveying a thought, but it needs to be so, I don't want to scream it. I mean, I've just watched it happen. I don't want to scream and yell, but I also don't just want to, and so acting, yes, but it's a different kind of acting when you have a script. Myself personally, and maybe it's because I love extemporaneous. I'm an extemporaneous kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
I can read a speech, but I would rather have an outline and go from that. I'm a more of a conscious, so maybe it's that. But I that's my favorite, and I believe it's the one that takes the most craft, because now we're talking about, the difference between pathos and ethos. Ethos is reading from the script, where you're just, you got ethics is, we get the word ethics. I hope everyone knows what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to be a dick. I don't know how else to say it. You have that ethos of someone, oh, here it is. This is the newsreader kind. Or you have that pathos, where we get the word pathetic to be, and I don't mean you're pathetic, but to get sympathy, to get sympathy. When we say pathetic, we think of something derogatory, but really it means something that draws sympathy from one. And I believe I know that's the hardest one to hone, common sense. And you're getting it down, man. You big old dude, you're a big, pretty guy. It's something when you know, because I know who I'm talking to. When you're talking to a guy that just looks like a fella you would never want to see in a dark alley at night. But he's becoming this, great actor with an excellent pathos about him.
Well, I'll say one thing. The video that I'm most proud of is the one that you're probably most proud of me for as well, which is the Remembrance Sunday one, the Why We Remember Remembrance. And I absolutely loved that, because I was quite passionate about that video, simply because who is anybody to tell other people what they can and cannot remember people for? And I absolutely love that video, because I just thought, well, no, I'm just going to let rip. I'm just going to let it go to what I feel and just carry on. And from that video, it's just certain little bits and pieces from it. Just made me really happy, to the point where, not trying to toot my own horn, but I actually got a little bit of goosebumps from it, from little different bits and pieces. And the way I actually edited it together, I actually really enjoyed watching it. It's my favorite video to this date.
That's a tie for me. They're my two favorites. You did pick me though. I mean, I have to admit that's probably. I just don't want to be agreeable, I guess today. That's probably my favorite by just a hair, because the one that you did recently about the little person making an apology for pedophilia.
Mr. Yi.
Oh man, and I don't want to, and we can't. I would never censor anybody. You know me, man. I mean, that's a topic. It's like that's why Max Baer and people are picking on me about trans stuff, saying I'm upset because they know that yeah, I won't mind a little quick joke about it, but to dwell on it oh man, and that was good. That was good because it showed huevos. It showed chutzpah to take that on and to not to be unafraid. And I mean, yeah, nothing to be afraid of. You know what I mean? To have that topic on your channel, afraid, and you did it, man. You pulled it in there. You did it well. You didn't sound like a guy that was some kind of creep and was just making a big loud noise. None of that. I mean, very few people could do that, in my opinion, common sense. So those were my two favorites by a long chalk. The rest I like.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do quite like my Amos Yee one. I also like that Amos Yee one doesn't understand free speech, because that was just funny to me. That was just one I could have a bit of fun with. I want you to listen to what I'm saying, but you can't criticize me. It's like, you really don't understand the concept of free speech, do you? You really don't understand it.
No, neither does anybody else. Anybody that talks about hate speech, any of that stuff. Listen, the only thing that has ever in my country, the only thing that's ever been considered not protected 100% under the loving, enfolding, father-like embrace, the comforting, loving, secure space of the Constitution, is a call to action. If I say this, common sense, if we're sitting here saying, man, and I say this to you, man, I hope Christy Winters gets fucking raped in a dark alley next week. Hey, she just got a friend of mine kicked off Twitter forever for nothing. So I don't really like her. But now, and I want to be very careful. Now, if I was to say I want X, Y, and Z to do this on certain time to certain person, see how careful I am. I don't even want to try to say that about any specific person.
Of course you don't.
No, that's protected. That's a call to action.
Exactly.
So no, anything
call
that's
to incitement.
Yes, anything's called hate speech, or they have to start looking at how white people are treated. Common sense, because and I know you.
No, as I was just about to say, that I've just reposted a video that I'm going to be just having a look at and just commenting on. The person who did it was somebody called Red Rhinos. But what he does is he takes the post that was can my children be friends with white kids, and he changes it. So he asked people, can my kids be friends with black kids? And he asked lots of people, about the story, do you think it's racist? And everybody as always would say, yes, of course it is, that's racist. And then you have, at the end of it, he then changes it and go, well, this is what the actual story is. It's, can people be friends with white kids? Is that still racist? And no kidding, I don't know if he picked it out or anything else like that, but everybody that he chose to show, all the white people were saying, no, it's not racist because of historical events, my slavery and all that issues. All the coloured and black people that were shown on that all said, well, no, it doesn't matter if it's black or white, it's still racist. You can't do that.
Yeah.
And it just shows you that. Yeah. Go on.
No, finish, because you were going to say it shows you that.
It shows you the difference between the white guilt that's now being pushed onto everybody. It now shows you the fact that the ideologies are so ingrained into people, whether they think it is or it isn't. As soon as you switch it, people forget what the actual word means. Why would you say that story, if you want to be friends with black children, is a racist story? Oh, because you're just picking it out because it's the color black. That's just going on the race of black people. So why isn't it racist for white people? Oh, because of history. It's like, no, it's exactly the same point. It's to the color of the skin. Why can't people realize that? Because they're so indoctrinated into this social justice and the idea of you can't say anything to anybody because you're going to get put into prison or you're going to have something happen to you. And that's all to do with academia. That's all to do with academia, and that's all to do with every story that comes out saying that white people are the ones that are oppressing everybody. And people are believing it. And that's why so many people are actually going towards the right. Not because they want to be bloody Nazis or anything else like that, but they're the only ones that bloody listen. They're the only ones that actually have some inch of common sense. And the reason why I use that is because you don't want to go too far.
Right.
Otherwise, you just know that you're just going to fall off the other end, so to speak. But that's the reason why so many people that were left are going conservative, because they're the only people that are actually talking any sense anymore. And who would think that we would be talking about conservative Christians and things like that talking sense?
Well, all the black people were conservative until LBJ, when he said, "Listen, we'll increase these entitlements, and I'll have those niggers voting for us for 15 decades or whatever he said, 150 years." And well, so far, I wouldn't call him what he did in that way, but so far, he's got the black folk. They have the black folk voting for him for all this time, and it's insanity. Now, this is my guess, though. Common sense is when, as you say, because like you were saying, if you go to Saginaw, Michigan, I don't live but 100 miles from there, and that's a black town. It made the top 10 murder capital at one, like not too long ago. I mean, it's a rough town, and it's predominantly black. And you ask them the same questions, no, man, the same answers. The black folks will tell you some of the most racist people, in fact, the most racist people I know are black. They don't. I mean, they're even racist within their own. Like you're a high yellow or a red bone, or you're a dark Negro. You're a nappy. I mean, they got all these. They're internally things that we don't focus on. Now, that would be said right now. I'm sure it would be said that, oh, it's because of slavery and how people, white people. No, it's that way in Africa. It's where there's no influence from white folks. So why? I don't know. It's their culture.
Well, I have an idea. I have an idea on that one. The reason why it would be on that is because they would have ideas on the different tribes. For many, many years, they would have different tribes where some people would have wars because their ears are completely different shapes and sizes to what their other tribes are. They would actually go to war over that. If you don't believe me, go and Google it. I'm being serious on that one. I may not be as.
I know you're telling the truth, but anybody can Google it. Yes, they would fight wars over like the shade of their skin, how tall, how skinny, how fat, all that. They're very tribal, and we got to remember that they were much like the United States before before Columbus got here. Very tribal, very split up. It's not one big nation.
Exactly. To be honest, I don't think one nation that's anywhere near the size of America to ever be one true nation. I know, obviously, being in America, you'll go, oh yeah, we're all Americans, so we're all under the same flag. Yeah, but when you talk about different states, you always go, oh, that state's not great, that state's not great, this state's really crap. This state's all right, though. I know people go, oh yeah, but that's just preferences. It's like, yeah, but it still goes under the same principle where you could have your warring tribes because you're not from Michigan, you're from California. You're left rather than right. You can always find things that are all tribalistic.
You better believe it.
Exactly. And it's just about trying to put those ideas to the side so people can actually talk about what the problems are and what the issues are. And that's why many times before, I've always said that we need to approach the table of negotiations, which it basically is now from either political side, with a free, clear slate. Not going, well, you're right, so you're Nazi, or you're left, so you're a communist. But going, hi, I'm the common sense guy. Hi, I'm the ogre. Let's talk about, I don't know, the problem in Hollywood. That's the only way that you're going to actually be able to make any headway in any sort of problem that's going on in the world today. Rather than going, well, I'm from the right, he's from the left, we can't do nothing anyway, so what does it matter?
Yep. Yeah, you better believe it, to come together and talk. And I tell you what, common sense, I hate it myself, but we got to speak about this eventually. I don't know if you've seen, but since we started talking, this happened after we got on air that this news broke. North Korea fired an ICBM, an intercontinental ballistic missile, a flight record for 50 minutes, and it landed right off the coast of Japan.
Yeah.
So I guess, I mean, unless you got something else to say about what we're just talking about, I kind of want to make a point on this. I don't think anybody's going to like what I got to say about it, but well, I just want to let you know this is on the agenda before we move on.
No, the only thing that I'll say, just out of thingy, if Christy Winters wanted to get in touch with me and wanted to talk to me about banning people online, I would offer my platform for her to be able to talk. Not because
Get her
I
on the
believe,
show.
yeah,
Get her on the
not
show.
because, exactly, not because I believe in what her platform is and what she's talking about, but for the fact that I would want to talk to her and discuss with her why she's doing what she's doing, why she's done what she's done, and why she believes what she believes. But going to her and going, well, you're a dick for doing this, you're not going to get the conversation out of her. You're not going to understand the reasons why. And as soon as you understand the reasons why, you can counteract those reasons. But until you know the reasons, it's like being scared. People are always scared because they don't understand what they're scared of. As soon as you take away that as soon as you give that understanding, as soon as people understand what they're scared of, they're no longer scared of it. They may be worried, but they're not scared anymore.
Yep.
And that's the same as what happens in politics.
Fear is predicated on ignorance, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
I love that. I mean, let's face it. When we go back to A Space Odyssey 2001, and we see the primates gathered around the pool, and they fight for the water and the nice place to be, and they were afraid. They were afraid of the bigger primate. They didn't know how to organize. They were afraid of the night. It shows them at night. They're sleeping there, and they were afraid of everything because they were completely nonplussed about everything. They had no clue. And so that is the progenitor of fear, is ignorance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly it. That's the same thing for everything, though. It's the same reason why people that don't have any counterpoints to either communism or capitalism, from both sides, it doesn't matter what side, and I'm not trying to say what side's better or worse. That's not what I'm going to say on this point. But you've got some people that just in the center that don't understand either and go, well, my mate's a capitalist or my mate's a communist, so I'm going to go with that. And I'm going to listen to all the scare tactics that each side has for both sides. And then I'm going to relay those and understand that it's due to fear rather than actually understanding what's going on. Yeah. And I think that's where we go wrong when we actually portray our own ideas. We don't portray ideas as our own. We portray our ideas mainly as my mate said this, my mate said that. I think this, but it was my mate that said it. We don't do our own researches anymore. I mean, a lot of people here would have done. But people in general, when you're talking to people out on the street, I mean, so many feminists and things like that, the bedroom feminists, if you want to use that hashtag, they always repeat the same platitudes over and over again. And they've been debunked over and over again. But because other people have come across and said exactly what they've all said before, they now believe it and just keep on going across. I don't know. To me, it just shows ignorance. And as you said before, with the ignorance comes the fear. And with the fear comes the point of not wanting to talk about it because you can't handle your own points.
Yeah, we got to be careful about that kind of thing. We have to remember that if we feel emotions are good, fear is good. I was just reading in a journal about psychodevelopment, about cognitive function and psychodevelopment, and excuse me. And I don't know if you know this common sense, but human beings are, as far as science knows at this moment, able to recognize poisonous snakes, especially, and snakes of all kind, particularly, better than almost anything on Earth. We're right there. I mean, monkeys are, in fact, we are the best, I should say. But nothing else comes close to us except for monkeys, cats, feline, canine is also good. But we're the best, and it just so happens that the lower part of our eye is more adept at picking up diamond patterns and these strange patterns of snakes that are in anything. There'd be nothing on Earth. And yes, I'm saying this for a couple reasons. One, too, remember this, when we talk about there is no common sense, because I like to jibe you on that pretty often. But I know, and I've known it from the beginning. I know this. There really is. I've talked about chickens and how 7 generations locked away, never seen anything. You can fly a kite over them that looks like a seagull. They don't do nothing. Fly a kite over them. They've never seen anything. Fly a kite that looks like a hawk.
But is that common sense, or is that
Yes.
just, not, or is it just the fact that it's imprinted in their DNA to then remember?
And that's the only kind of common sense there is, because it's understanding. If we agree that sense in this case means understanding and or knowledge, is that what we are saying sense means?
Yeah, I suppose so. Sense would be a sense of understanding, a comprehension of understanding what's going on. Yeah, I suppose.
Comprehension, that's even better. That actually is the best word I can think of. Comprehension. We say common sense, we mean common comprehension, which is to comprehend. And much like apprehend, to comprehend is to understand captively. It's to take an understanding into captive, to completely have that understanding. And so I would say that that kind of knowledge, the kind that you, sir, where you live, how many Diamondback rattlers have you ever seen?
None.
If you saw one tomorrow on the ground, you would instantly, not only would you be able to see it out of your peripheral in the bottom part of your view much better than any other animal on earth, you would instantly know inside of you, that's bad. It wouldn't even have to, it could be a pit viper. It could be a water moccasin. And they have,
it could be an adder. Could even be an adder.
Yeah, it could be an adder. And so I don't know. I mean, I just, you know, why am I saying this? Because you're interesting and I want to sound intelligent. And I just seen this thing, man. Britisher did the week that was, and when they just dogged Professor Peterson, I'm going to tell you what, he's my hero, period. I feel like I'd super chat him, and I'm not going to say what I Patreon him, but because of the information I've gotten from his website, he started in Harvard. That's where he cut his teeth. And he is a tenured professor at the University of Toronto as we speak. And he has all of his courses online where it feels like it's just you and him common sense. I can't even imagine what it would cost me if I wanted to line up a professor to have FaceTime with him. Just like you sit here and explain what I want to know about psychology.
Yeah.
You who knows everything about it.
No, I would absolutely love to have Jordan Peterson just do that. And I know that he does do that. I know that most of his videos are the fact that he's going through lectures. So
yes, right there.
I absolutely love that.
Well, anyway, I'm getting long-winded. We were talking about before, we're not going to say much about the pre-chat, but we were talking about filibustering. And not only can I filibuster, sometimes, as with anyone that filibusters, sometimes it should draw to an end. Because I was going to get on a big old soapbox, and I don't think I really need to about that. You know what? Common sense. In the end, it's all good, baby. What about North Korea? Can I bother you about that? Can we even? Let me ask you before I even go here, because I already tried. Can we even be bothered about this right now? Are we going to let this stuff that just happened like completely?
The only thing I'll say about North Korea is, if you're going, not us, but if in general the media is going to make a big fuss about a ballistic missile that is shot off to the coast of Japan, and then somebody like Donald Trump then comes up and says, well, if you keep doing that, we're going to have to invade you and do something about it. And then the media then goes, yeah, you shouldn't have said that. You're a naughty boy. You're going to cause World War III for it. What do you expect people to do when they look at their own Western media that is supposed to support Trump in that aspect, going, well, they're not even going to support him, so if we do that, we've already got them on our side anyway. It loses my mind on that thing. Yeah, okay, fair enough, you don't like him. But if you've got something like North Korea, which is venturing out, which is going to eventually start attacking people, because all they're doing is testing it to see how far they can get their missiles across. It's a case of, if you're not going to do something, then don't stop the person that is going to do something about it. That's the only thing I'll say on that.
I think we have a crazy person that's in control of a country, and that his advisors are I think that they could have hit Japan. I believe that they put it where it went. They're at the point now where it's hard for me not to see that. And I think that I don't think they'll hit Japan. I think what they want, now this part, highly speculatory, but indulge me. What they want is to be attacked. Does Kim Jong, what is his name?
Yeah,
No,
Kim
what's his
Jong-un.
name?
Kim
Un.
Jong-un.
Un. Does Un honestly believe that if he's attacked as his grandfather was in the Korean War, that he'll prevail? Maybe. I kind of doubt it, but maybe. Maybe his generals or some of them. Who knows? I don't know. But what I do believe is they want to be attacked. And yeah, oh my goodness, I love President Trump. Can you see you can see the buttons. I love President Trump. I voted for him. Unless someone better comes along, I won't not vote for him next time. As it stands right now, as I was watching, I never watched Sean Hannity, but it was on a loop, and I came back in, and Tucker Carlson was just done, and it went on to Sean Hannity, and he did take time to like scroll through. In fact, I got this. I want to share this with you, though. I don't even want to put it up now for everybody to see. And you can think I'm teasing it if you want. Maybe I am, you people out there listening to us. But no, I'm going to be perfectly honest. Before I display something like this, because I tweeted it out a couple times, but before I display something like this on this show, I'm going to, my bro's got to look at it. It's as simple as that. Because I went through a few. I went through a few of these Common Sense, and a lot of them come from the Daily Wire and the Daily Mail and the Guardian, and some of them come from, oh man, I mean, all over the place, all over. New York Times. I think I couldn't find one from like Al Jazeera or something like that, but or RT yet. But even if it was RT or Al Jazeera, I don't know, man. You got to give credence where credence is due. I would just say that.
Yeah,
and
no,
I know
definitely.
that's so maybe you'll peruse that briefly sometime. And what it is it's a huge compilation of things that Donald Trump has done good. Now, so look, that said, all of that said, the long way around to say this, Common Sense, we're kind of rougher guys. We put it aside, but the fact of the matter is, if you and I are the kind of football hooligans, you, honest to God, want to have fun with at the bar, you don't want to make trouble with. You know it, I know it. It's not an offense to anybody. It's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
That said, do we really want a prime minister or a president that is out there like tweeting stuff about other world leaders, like they're in some kind of spat? Is that what we want?
See, I don't have a problem with the fact that Trump tweets whatever he tweets, even when he's tweeting about Rocket Man and things like that. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's funny. I think it's diffusing the situation and it's making light of what's supposed to going on. I have more of a problem that the media will lambast him if he doesn't do anything. But as soon as he does something silly like that to diffuse a situation, which is the reason why he's done it in a non-presidential manner, it's the reason why he's tweeted about it, to try and diffuse the situation, make people feel better. And then the media go, he shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done that.
You think that's the reason he does that? So even when it's like the Pocahontas stuff, because don't get me wrong, man, I'm trying to make it clear that I think that you or I, if we were president or prime minister and we had some Indians there, some Native Americans, and we were giving them a medal, that we might mention what a piece of garbage Pocahontas is for saying that she's a Native American when she's not, and saying you're cool. But so, and in my heart, I don't know, man. Just carry on. What I'm trying to say is that what? It makes some people feel good, but it does make some people really fucking pissed. Common Sense. I guess that's my whole point.
Well, when it comes to the things about calling somebody calling Pocahontas non-Native American, I would say that I don't really have a problem, but I can understand the reasons why people would, because it is in the wrong place and at the wrong time. So I can understand that. I can understand that point of view. But as you said before, I'm more of the case of, and I'm like this with everybody, I say what I mean. And I think Trump's exactly the same way. I'd rather have somebody that says what he means by going, oh yeah, well, Pocahontas is not the Native American as they are at this moment in time, than him holding it behind his back and then everybody thinking, oh, he's just racist, but behind closed doors. I don't know. I'd rather him be open about whatever he's going to be thinking, which I think he does quite a lot, than him hiding behind it or pretending that he's something that he's not, like Obama.
I would rather have it like Nigel Farage, though. And maybe it's because I just, for the sound of you British folks' voices, it sounds like you're more diplomatic. But I mean, I see like Boris, you know, and Nige. I mean, they're just, look, I'm calling them Boris and Nige. But it's like Boris was the mayor of London, man. I mean, and he's MP, and Nigel's, you know what I mean? But that's the kind of guys. That's the kind of guys they are, and they seem to get away with some stuff because, for lack of a better way to say it, they know how to do it. Maybe it's just because I'm used to hearing politicians. Is that what it is?
The thing is with Nigel Farage is Nigel Farage has so many accusations that are thrown at him, and that's the reason why he's always defending himself. Not because he actually has said something wrong. Now, Boris Johnson is something completely different. I think Boris Johnson forgets where he is sometimes and doesn't realize what he's saying when he's saying. Now, that's not to say that he's a goofball or not, or if he's stupid or not, because he's a very, very intelligent person, very academic. But with Boris Johnson, it's more of a case of he does say silly things, but it's to the point that I don't think he should ever get fired for it. Not because of the silly things, but because he means them in satire. Except for obviously what was happening on with the girl that's in Iran at the moment, the woman that's in Iran. Apart from that, I don't think that he's actually done anything wrong. But then again, even in that story, I don't think he really did too much wrong. Well, he said that he thought that what was she doing out there? I'm sorry, but just because he said that doesn't mean that Iran's got a leg to stand on for having the human rights violation of keeping her there against her will by trying to say that she's Iranian when she's not. She's got a split passport. You can't blame Boris Johnson's actions for what a government in a different country's done. It's the same as you can't blame Donald Trump's actions for what North Korea's done. Just my opinion on that one.
Well, you see what I think about North Korea. I agree with you. I mean, it's right now, and look, since we talked, they've got like Drudge has got like 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 more, all red. North Korea launches ICBM flight record 50 minutes. South Korea fires back. What? Now that I haven't seen.
That's a bit worrying. That's very
worrying. Hang on, man. I'm actually going to play this. I haven't listened to it. It's only 27 seconds long. Let me get this set up for a second. Common sense. I've got to turn on the. All right, let's take a look at this, folks, and see what we see. I've got to get the thing set up, though. It'll just, like I said, I'll try to speak while I do it, but as soon as I can't speak anymore, I won't be able to, and that's right now.
We have just confirmed through the Pentagon, Fox News has, that there has been a firing of a ballistic missile on a day in which it has been reported from the South Korean ministry that North Korea could be farther along with its nuclear capability than first thought. Jennifer Griffin reporting live for us from the Pentagon, and we are standing by to discuss more about this as this news is breaking on North Korea. Stay close.
Yeah, there you go. Oop, that's hands-free. Hang on. There you go. There, I should be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see some more about that, because that said that they were.
Yeah, that's old footage. That's old footage.
Back. Yeah, that ballistics missile was not real. It says North Korea launched a missile around 3 a.m. local time, 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, sparking a furious response from Seoul. Within minutes of North Korea's ICBM launch, South Korea had fired its own missile launch in retaliation. In retaliation of what? Hang on, though. The North Korean missile was fired eastwards from the Hermit State. The missile landed about 110 kilometers west of Japan's where's Britisher when you fucking need him? Island. Tokyo said, well, that's going to be you and I from now on, so just bear with us, folks. You can see the name right there. We don't have the schoolmaster's not here to let us know what the hell it even. So Japanese media reports the missile was in the air 50 minutes, indicating a very high altitude flight path. It traveled east 620 miles. around 300 kilometers at an altitude of 2,500 miles, so right around 1,200, 1,100 kilometers before crashing into the Sea of Japan. Sorry, I probably won't try to keep converting the kilometers. I can do it, but I do a lot of ums and uhs. If they're there, just sorry if you don't understand the difference, but there's just a slight difference. U.S. leader Donald Trump was briefed. Late night launch. So they're not saying, a South Korean military official said earlier this evening, we confirm that we have detected a North Korean ballistic missile launch. The missile still traveling toward the direction to the East Sea as we are monitoring it now. So I'm not seeing where North Korea fired an unidentified ballistic missile. So where's South Korea? It said South Korea did something. I'm still looking common sense. That would be what would worry me. Okay. I mean, if South Korea has, I mean, I even heard you. I mean, what say you, man? I don't even know. I'm sorry that we're covering this, but dude, it's just happening. I know one thing. I think the common sense guy would agree with me on this. Whatever's going on, folks, keep calm and carry on.
Yeah. At this moment in time, we don't know if South Korea has actually launched anything else above it at the moment. I think it's more of a case that they would have probably tried to shoot the missile down rather than try and shoot something back at North Korea, because it would be stupid for South Korea to provocate North Korea at this moment in time, because North Korea would wipe them out. So I don't think that would have actually have happened. I think it's more of a case that they would have tried to shoot a missile out of the sky more than anything else.
You said that you think North Korea would wipe South Korea out?
Yeah, before the Americans got there, yes, I do.
Well, they'd have a problem because, you know what? Most people wouldn't say that. And you may think I was popping in there to disagree, but here's the problem. They have a 1 million-man army. If you're in the army there, you're well fed, you're well treated, you got to obey orders and stuff. But it's not like you're a farmer somewhere, man. You sleep in a barracks, you get fed 3 times a day. You're anyway. And there's 1 million. They have a 1 million-man army, all with weapons, AK-47s, and plenty of 7.62 rounds. And I think that you're right. I think that, well, and I've stated this before the Americans got there, the troops that they have in the DMZ where we don't know they're at because they have tunnels to get there, guaranteed they're there. The DMZ is a hilly, mountainous place. What do you think the people are doing? They're like ants anyway. Think about Vietnam, where they had tunnels underground. The Ho Chi Minh Trail was just honeycombed with tunnels on both sides, all the way up and down at hundreds of miles. Don't think they can't do it, and I believe they did. So I think common sense. Not trying to make this like a video game or a superhero plot, but no, man. I think that if the shit hit the fan there right now, that there would be doors opening very close to the DMZ, the demilitarized zone on the south side. I think that the North Koreans would probably pour in there, and we would be very reluctant. Whereas the north side, it would be bombed pretty messed up very quickly. But the south side, man, they could, yeah, anyway. That was a long way around to say, yeah, man. And if it wasn't for the United States, the North would they would already be there. Phnom Penh, what is it? The Seoul would be gone. No more Toshibas, no more Komatsus, no more LGs, no more all the Korean shit that you've grown to love.
Yeah. No more Kias.
Yeah.
A lot of people were saying about the army itself, about how that they're not eating too much. I still think that the sheer amount of numbers and the fact that they may be able to get out of something, they would still not overrun South Korea. I don't think it would be over really quickly. I really don't think that. But I do think that they would actually go over, and I do actually think that they would attack if there was a retaliation. That's the reason why I said what I said. I don't think that they would annihilate South Korea, but I do think that North Korea would win if they were going over there just by sheer numbers, until one of its allies decided that it was going to help. Because that's the difference with South Korea. South Korea's got lots of allies that are around at that point as well. I think China would attack North Korea as well. I think Japan would attack them as well if they ever attack South Korea. So I think it's more of a case of one wouldn't attack the other for sheer reason that one would be scared of the other and the other would be scared of retaliation of everybody else.
What if China remembered the old days and was on North Korea's side?
I really don't think that China would be on North Korea's side simply because of America and the fact the United Nations wouldn't be on North Korea's side as well.
Because they wouldn't have people to sell cheap garbage to? Is that why?
Yeah, I still don't think that it would matter. I think it'd be more of a case that China wouldn't touch North Korea at this moment in time simply because United Nations would be against them straight away, meaning that they would lose all their trade deals and their phony capitalism would collapse, meaning that they would collapse completely as a nation. They also know that America would outpower them on almost every degree apart from sheer numbers on the ground. So, no, I don't think China would ever go anywhere near helping North Korea.
Well, I just think MC said that, he was just saying that South Korea has a good defense and that they would win but I disagree. If the United States was completely out of it, if the United States wasn't involved and then it was just like the North Koreans versus the South Koreans, well, unfortunately, I think North Korea would win. And then the whole peninsula would just be a unbelievable hellhole where it just that's the way it would be, because I don't know what would think, like, I have no idea, but he wouldn't allow freedom. And what I mean by freedom, capitalism. Therefore, I mean, everything, he would nationalize everything, and like I said, there would still be komatsu, but nobody would buy it. It'd be garbage. And like everything else remember the Yugo car, the Yugo from Yugoslavia. Anything you get communist, man, was like communist people. Now you gotta go to Germany where people are free and they build you an Audi. They build our freaking Mercedes. There you go. And even, they may not start every time you turn the key, but you go to England and you get your Jaguar or Aston Martin.
Yep.
Beautiful cars. Your BSA motorcycle or your Triumph. Beautiful motorcycles.
Yeah, they
anyway,
are. Very much so. Yeah,
whatever would happen in common sense, we can wrap this up as soon as possible. I'm so glad that you were willing to even talk about it, because myself, man, I'm not a warmonger. I'm not a fear porn monger. So I don't have any reason to rah cheer one side or I just don't. It's all just a bunch of pomp. And from that last story where it said that South Korea had done something, and I can't find what they do. Like you said, if anything, they maybe tried to shoot the missile down. So it's just a bunch of it's a Pinch and Judy show, is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I'm going to say about this story, and then I'm going to move on myself, is North Korea are stupid enough to possibly do the missiles out into the sea. I don't think South Korea would attack North Korea unless provoked, and I think it would have to be very, very provoked. Again, as I said, I don't think it would be an easy win for either side. It's just a case of, I think the fact that each side realizes that if they attack, it's not just them that's attacking. And I think that will be more prevalent on South Korea's side, to realize that if they attack, then they know that they're going to start war all over again. So that's why I think that it's not going to happen in any way.
Cool. Well, there you go, Mad Dodge Production and whoever else. I think Mad Dodge was probably bringing it up for the same reason. I know he's a libertarian, so in his mind, if he's a pure libertarian, would be not to get involved in any war. And that's where I'm at. I just don't believe in foreign entanglements. If somebody doesn't bomb us here, I just don't. And yeah, there's some exceptions, like World War II. They talk about Pearl Harbor. Well, that meant we would have went to war with Japan, right? We wouldn't have messed with the Nazis. No. But we got involved in the whole thing. And there are, and that I just use that as an example of an exception. Since World War II, man, I haven't seen anything. World War I's questionable to me. really is whether or not we should have got involved. I don't think we should have got involved. I think y'all would have won anyway. Also, in that case, it's not like World War II. I think at World War II, we probably needed to have that side win. Otherwise, everybody be speaking German over there right now.
Yeah. As you said, I'm not too up on wars and things like that. I don't think that they're necessary, most of them. There's arguments for the fact that First World War shouldn't even have happened. If people just took a step back, then the First World War wouldn't have happened. And if the First World War wouldn't have happened, then obviously the second one wouldn't have done. So there's lots of just different swings and roundabouts and different time zones, different realities, dimensions, whatever tinfoil hat you want to put on today. You can always say that things could have happened differently. And
yeah, because I see these nutcases talking about, is this the beginning of like another Cold War era because of North Korea? I don't even want to go there, man. I don't even give a crap about that. I thought one of the funniest things on Drudge and in the news today was that we were talking about, man, that the Grammys, there were no white folk in it.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm at. I mean, it's just a good time over here.
Well, hasn't that happened for like the Oscars for the last couple of no, not the Oscars, the Emmys. Hasn't that been like that for the last couple of years anyway, to do with music?
Well, the Grammys, I think it's the first time it's been like a blaxploitation.
But you mean a blackwash? You mean a blackwash?
The blacklash. Yeah, the blackwash. That's even better. Blackwash. Because they do say that about stuff. It's like, oh, they whitewash that. Well,
yep.
I don't know. What do you call it when you take somebody like Roland Deschain from The Gunslinger, and just because you want to change the whole story? Mrs. Ogre and I just watched the movie, and I'm going to tell you something. Now here we go. 2 Common Sense. If you don't mind, I want to get to hell off war. So we just now mind you, Common Sense. We drove truck together. We lived in a little truck, man. We had a VCR and we had hundreds of movies and little things. So when it was our downtime, we watched a lot of stuff. And while we were driving, way before you could have an iPod and get Audible and whatever and have Audible there, just like I do now on my iPod, like I can, I've got hundreds of stories, books, man, and listen to them going down the road. Even before that, when we couldn't afford it, I actually, and Mrs. Ogre would read to me. We read this novel Desperation. I could go through a long list of novels we read to each other. When one was driving, the other one would read, when the other one was driving, the other one would read. It gets boring just looking down the highway. And so to make a long story short, we've listened and or read every single one of the Gunslinger long epic. From the very first words are, the man in black fled across the desert and the gunslinger followed. That's it. That's the beginning. They didn't start there. So it's always, to me, the Alba guy, the dude that played Roland, it's not only that they took a character that should have been played by Clint Eastwood if he could do it at his age, because that's even it says in the novel that they see a poster for a movie when they're on what's called Toe Dash. I mean, I know if you haven't read the novel stuff, nobody knows what the hell Toe Dash is, but somebody out there probably does. But they're Toe Dash, and they see they come out of the Manhattan, what's it called? They come out of Calvin Towers bookshop at any rate, and they see this poster for a fistful of dollars. And when they see Clint Eastwood there as the man with no name, they're like, whoa, because it's like it's Roland. Because Roland is a craggy dude with blonde hair and blue eyes, and he's the quintessential gunslinger. So it's not just they changed that, but the storyline, Common Sense, and I'll slow down, but I hope maybe we could talk a little bit about this, because the taking over of our culture, to say, that there's no white culture is crazy. So let's leave that alone and say there's no comic book culture or movie culture is also crazy, or book culture, or just fantasy culture is also crazy. People do these things. They get into it. Don't change something like that. And if anybody's followed the novel, it was Odetta Walker's called him a honk mofo. She was a black lady with no legs. If they followed the story, you would have seen a white guy that was a gunslinger that was very kind to a black lady with no legs that was constantly racist to him, called him honky and little dick honky, and why don't y'all suck each other's little bitty white candles? All these are quotes, you know. And when y'all gonna get down to the poking with those little bitty white candles? Dead a Walker. And they took that out, and that's what bums me out. So bam, that was a long diatribe.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with that is, as you said, it's the culture. It's the fact that different books were written by different people and for different characters in general. I mean, if you were to try and redo, I mean, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Wesley. Is it Wesley Snipes? I think it is. He was in Magnificent Seven, or was it Denzel Washington? Denzel Washington. I absolutely love that, but there is no way in. Yeah, there is no way in hell that in Magnificent Seven that unfortunately a black man would have been the sheriff. Not trying to say that that is good or bad. I'm just saying that there is no way that he would ever been elected sheriff. Django Unchained, completely different. He was a vigilante. He wasn't actually going out to become a sheriff or anything else like that. He was literally a vigilante. But for somebody like Denzel Washington to become a sheriff to start off, and then get all of these people together and things like that, people wouldn't have worked with him. They wouldn't have worked with him with being the leader simply because of the times. Now, I'm not trying to say that they shouldn't have done what they did, but it's the fact if you're going to try and stay true to the story, and that's what you're supposed to do if you're doing the movie, you have to stay true to the story. It's like Tombstone. If you were going to get anybody else that is supposed to be Doc Martin, and he wasn't an abusive drunk that had cancer, then you haven't got Tombstone. Simple as that. You haven't got it. You're changing the story, but keeping it the same title. I think it's the point of... It's like Harry Potter. If you were to change Harry Potter instead of being the young abused kid that he was, and then changed him into, I don't know, an Indian person, for instance, it wouldn't have been the same thing. You'd have to keep it to the story. I don't know. It's very hard for me to understand why you would play different people. It's the same thing from when Ghost in the Shell was put out and people were talking about that. Now, I obviously absolutely love, I can't remember her freaking name, Scarlett Johansson. I absolutely love her. I'd watch her in any film. I don't even care if the sound's playing. That's how much I'd watch the film. So for when people are going, oh, people in this country and in America are going, oh yeah, but she's not Chinese. The Japanese and Chinese people are actually saying, well, no, she is actually kind of white. She doesn't actually fit in with the rest of the racist. The actual race that was going on. I don't know. I think with culture, it's a kind of thing like if you're going to do a story, stick to the story. But if you're doing an adaptation of it, then fair enough. But certain things that are cult classics, like you wouldn't change The Mist, for instance, and try and change anything to do with what happened there. And you wouldn't change that film. I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling at the minute. It's just culture in itself is there for a particular reason, and keep on changing it just because you want to update the culture and update the story. I think it's a waste of time.
Yeah, it's not only a waste of time. I still continue to wonder the motive. You know, I popped on not too long ago on Academic Age's channel, and Sargon was on there, and he was doing what he usually does. You know, he's on his soapbox and showing everybody how smart he was, which is, you know, it's true, he is too. And we're talking about this. Okay, look, they don't talk about diversity in Beijing. They don't talk about diversity in Delhi. They don't talk about diversity, hell, and you know, Peking, anywhere except for Manchester and
Western civilization.
Yes. And you gotta start asking yourself why. And then when you see people making claims of whitewashing, okay, like you were saying, like blackwashing or whitewashing, because it's the same thing. Well, yeah, it's happened, but does it happen now? No, it never happens now. There's never a case where it doesn't happen now. There's no whitewashing going on. If anything, I mean, look at the Grammys. Made me keep thinking about this. I would hate it, and this comes from conflict theory. This comes from a lot of schools of thought in psychology, and not a lot in psychology. There's only 7 of them, but it comes from one in psychology, and well, 1 3/4, and it comes from a few in sociology. The idea that there always has to be an underdog. Like I was saying about the chickens and the hawk and stuff. Well, also when you look at chickens, there's a pecking order. There always has to be an underdog. Also, always has to be a boogeyman. So we get South Korea, we get things like this. I mean, it's just the way some people say it's destined to be. I would like to believe that we don't have to stay stuck in these ruts.
It seems to me, I mean, we're going to go down the same bloody tinfoil hat where people keep on putting people that are oppressed, people that are at the bottom of society or what they consider to be the bottom of society, to put them on a pedestal to say that these people are oppressed and the people that are oppressing them need to be brought down so everybody has the same ideas. The fact of, what's the right terminology? Everybody should be exactly the same. Everybody should earn the same. Everybody is the same. And unfortunately, it's not the same. Nobody is the same. I'm not the same as Ogre. I'm not the same as Alpha. I'm not the same as Jensen. I'm not the same as Captain Copile. I'm not the same as anybody else. And they're not the same as me. Because we're all individuals. We're not bees. We're not ants. We're not collective. We're not a hive. We're not even a pact anymore. We are individuals. Yes, we form our social constructs. Yes, we form our social friends and for social circles. But we are not a collective thinking group anymore. Yes, more than one person in the group makes a very good ideas and things like that. But we're not a collective thinking group anymore. And for people to keep on coming back and saying, oh, we need to think as a collective and what would be good for the many will be good for the few, or what would be good for the few will be good for the many. It doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that. What's good for the many will help the few, not what's good for the few will help the many. Because what would help the few is taking money off of the rich, for instance, and giving it to the poor. Well, that doesn't help the many, does it? That only helps the few. All you're doing is robbing off of the rich. And that's where we're going at this point in time. We're trying to say that it doesn't matter what our cultures are, what people are, people that are coming in that are refugees and things like that, whether you believe they are or not, is a different story. But people that are coming in as refugees and things like that are now putting on a pedestal, given, especially in my country, given houses and things like that, and given free access to different points of view and different things. And if you've got 3 or 4 kids and things like that, they all go onto the same benefit system and everything else like that.
Just give it to you.
Yeah, no, it doesn't just get to you. It's just a case of why
No, I say they just give it to you. They just give it.
Oh yeah, they just
give it.
They just give it. Yeah, they just give it to them after you come across. If you got it doesn't even matter if you got a family. If you come across, and 9 times out of 10 you'll go straight on benefits here, where that shouldn't be the way. It should be that if you're coming across, you should have a job, because otherwise, what are you adding to society? You're not adding to any society that you're coming across. I can't emigrate to Germany without having a job that's already there. Because if I went there and tried to sign on for them, or what you would be as in signing on or going on the dole or whatever you want to call it in whatever country you're in, I wouldn't be able to sign on because I'd need to live there for a particular amount of time. The same as if I went somewhere else. I couldn't emigrate and go, well, can I be on benefits? Because I'd be such a benefit to your system. It doesn't work that way. But as soon as you have somebody that's a refugee or things like that, everything gets thrown out. Everything goes straight onto the top. It's just interesting to me. Now, I'm not trying to say that people shouldn't help refugees. I'm not trying to say that at all. But at the same time, shouldn't your main priority be getting that person to speak English and getting that person a job? Surely that's what should be your point, rather than just giving them money and then a house and leaving them alone. Because that's the way it works.
You think that'd be on the priority, but then it would say, well, you're forcing them to learn English. Why are you doing that, you racist? And because I hear things, I can't remember if it was you or an Englishman. I thought it was you. Maybe it was on the offensive. It was someone just recently was telling me that there's places in England where second generation folks, people that were born in England, can't speak English.
Yeah,
they have
second and
these,
third generations.
right? And so they have
go
like
to faith
compounds.
schools. Yeah, they go to faith schools rather than going to national schools.
Yeah, that's on the list. That's one of the things that the Britishers said would help with terrorism and whatnot, was ending faith schools. Yeah, I'm with it. I mean, I didn't know that it went that far. So faith schools, in a faith school, they only speak whatever.
Well, they actually go to the mosque to actually learn.
Oh my goodness gracious!
That's what most faith schools are. They normally go to the mosque to actually learn how to do different things.
Well, and that's fine as long as the parents pay for it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do have a quick question for Waltzmiths. If I was to leave literally at this moment in time and go into Germany and claim that I want to live off of their welfare, how would I go about doing that? Because I wouldn't be able to just transfer all the money that I've got here into Germany because I haven't got a job. I've got nowhere to live. So how do I actually apply for anywhere to live and then get benefits? Because you need to have a place to live before you can get benefits. At least that's the way it is in this country. Yeah, but I don't have a place of residence in Germany. If I just moved over there now and I don't have a place of residence, how can I sign on? Because in this country, you need to have a place of residence before you can sign on.
So what, they give you a place to stay and then you sign on benefits? I mean, how do you, because a lot of places you go to the council and they give you a council flat. It could be a bed and breakfast. That's a big thing for the bed and breakfasts, that they do allow the council to come and pay them to put people up. I'm going to say this: before anyone else gets a place, everybody's sleeping rough is what y'all call it, right?
Yeah.
Anybody sleeping rough in the UK should have a place. When that happens, and I mean even by immigrants, unless I don't know what to say, unless you're born in England, second generation, or whatever, first generation. In other words, you were born there. No, when all of those have a place to stay, well, then worry about your immigrants, worry about your whatever else. Until then, that's it.
Yeah. With the idea of faith schools, I don't have a problem with faith schools themselves if they were to speak English and they were to actually put people to integrate. Because the only way that you're ever going to be able to get past any sort of forms of anxiety is to actually integrate into the cultures, not separate people's cultures.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Yeah, good evening. And you see what happened. Common sense. And all you have to do is send me the ogre signal on our back channel, and I'll kick him right out if he's a dick. So
he's fine. He's fine.
I know he's fine right now, is what you mean to say. I get it. I understand. So here's Welshman's stories, because if we're going to talk about something like that, you might as well have him on here. And I want to say before this, I'm not going to be much of a moderator because I'm fully on the side of my co-host. I don't believe in, but let's hear another opinion. Why did you come here, Welshmirts, when you got this link?
Because you ask, can you move to Germany and how does it work, and can you live off welfare in Germany and so on. That was the topic, right?
Yeah. Carry on.
Yeah. You can go to Germany right away as a European citizen from whatever European country, wherever you live. You can go to Germany without having a job. And you basically you get an apartment, and then you go.
How can I do that with no money?
Well, you don't pay in front. I mean, maybe you have to leave a deposit. Not
How can
everybody
I do that with no money?
Well, okay, if you don't have the deposit for the apartment, and then you can ask the same question: how can I come to Germany when I don't have the money for the train ticket, right? Of course, you need some money to start with, so that is obvious. But then you get paid back.
Wait! Please slow down just a little bit, and we'll let you go on. Everybody, let you go on. I don't want to be this gang banging, but I do know a little bit about this. So, what if you got there because Angela Merkel, your wonderful whatever she is, Chancellor, Heil Merkel, because what if she brought people over because they were classified as either children, in a lot of cases where it turned out most of those were over 30 years old, or just that they were refugees, and then when they got there, they had no money. What do you? So let's add those into the equation.
No, because refugees have special status. They
Exactly.
get places.
No,
I want to do it
not
as a
special.
European
Yeah,
citizen.
okay, they have special status to rape women, like we know that's happening. All this
Yeah,
stuff
as I
is
said,
going
I'm
on in
not.
your
I'm not
country.
going down that
That's
road.
that's
As I
where
said,
it
I'm not
comes
going to
from.
go down that road.
All right, well, fine.
Yeah.
I know the reason why I don't want to go down that road is because I wanted to prove that me as a UK citizen and me as a European citizen, at this moment in time,
Crack on. I shouldn't have piped up anyway. It's not my battle.
that's fine. I just wanted to prove that me as a UK citizen and a European citizen I cannot move to another European country without having money to be able to get a place and then sign on. I can't do it any other way. I have to have money before I move there.
Yeah, a little bit, of course. I mean, you need money for the travel. That what I would
Well,
wanted
even if
to
I have
say.
enough money just for the travel, say I've got enough money to get on a Eurostar and I can hitchhike it wherever I
Right.
want.
Well, the most landlords, they want you to give them a deposit.
Yeah, but I've only
Yeah.
got enough for the Eurostar ticket. That's it.
Yeah, then okay, then you can't go anywhere.
Yeah, that's literally all I wanted to prove. That's literally it.
Yeah, but what kind of point is that? I mean, then you
To
can
say that
also
I have to
argue that if I cut your legs off, you can't run 100 meters. Yeah, that's true, but I mean, come on. I mean, everybody has some money. And you can take the money, go to Germany, rent a flat, go to the welfare, and you get paid back right away. No problem.
I understand that, but what I'm trying to prove to this point is me being on benefits, I wouldn't be able to travel to Germany or to any other European country and then decide that I'm going to stay there without first being able to have enough money to get a place. And if I'm already in a council place at this moment in time, I have no money to be able to get there. The reason why I'm using this is to prove to the fact that refugees and immigrants are a special status where if they come into the group, they will get to every single point in their houses first, which I don't think is correct.
No, that is actually not how it works. And if you are willing to live in such poor conditions like the refugees, then you can even come to Germany without a single dime. That is not a problem. So you would come here, you sleep in a commodity that is like for homeless people or something. Then you get your paperwork done, and then 4 weeks or 6 weeks later, then you rent an apartment and so on. You can do that, of course, yes, but that is very extreme, and nobody wants to do that. And the refugee welfare is also completely different because they get their housing, they can't choose to rent an apartment, and they don't get the same amount of money from welfare as a German. They should, but that is not reality.
I think that's the best way of being. That they shouldn't get as much money as the German citizen. They haven't paid any tax.
And they are not allowed to work. That is another really big issue.
But that makes no sense.
That makes no sense at all. Exactly. Yeah.
That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. We're going to take in a refugee, but you're not allowed to work, so you have to go on benefits. That's
Exactly.
going to be productive.
Exactly. Yeah, but I mean, many people make the point, yeah, we have so many refugees and they all live off welfare and they are all too lazy to work. And that is not how it is. They are not allowed to work. And that is, you can't blame them when German government denies them to look for some jobs.
Yeah, well, that's the reason why I wanted to put it up and as this question, simply because I know the UK system inside and out. I know the UK system very well, and I know for a fact that they get exactly the same amount of money. In fact, they get back pay for how long they've been in the country for if they can prove it. They also get free housing straight away as well, whether it'll be accommodation to start off with, and then get an actual place.
And that is a bit of a problem because it is already difficult to find housing in England. I mean, and the house prices are ridiculously high in England. So that is a bit of a problem, I think.
Yeah, well, they move straight to the top of the list as well. We normally have bands where we have band 1 at the top, which is the first priority, band 2 second, band 3. Now, me as a disabled person, I'm in band 3. we also have a 4 and a 5th. Most immigrants, when they first come over, are in band 2 or band 1, meaning that I would lose out to them. Now, I don't have a problem with that. It's just the fact that every time that they do come over, and I don't mean as a collective, I mean individually, as everybody comes up, I'll keep on getting moved down the list.
But can I ask a question? Is that because you have a flat already and you want another one? Or is that even if you would be like a British homeless person who needs an apartment?
No, British homeless person is even lower than what I would be. British homeless person would be around about band 4, band 5.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So they would be down lower than what I am. And the reason why I want to move is because I'm on the top floor flats. I have to walk up quite a lot of stairs. And as I said, I'm disabled, so it's kind of hard for me to do that. So I need to move.
Right. No, I mean, I get that. I mean, that is this thing that can be discussed, in my opinion. If somebody who already has a flat should be should have a higher rating than somebody who comes fresh into the country and has no flat at all and needs to stay. So I can understand why they rate refugees higher in this special case. But if you don't have a flat as a British person, then you should have exactly the same status.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, the reason why I bring it up so much is if refugees and immigrants were looking for places to better their lives, why aren't they going to places like Portugal or Spain? Why aren't they going to Greece? Why aren't they going to them type of places that don't have a social welfare system, or they have to wait before they can get onto it?
They are in Greece, and there are thousands and thousands of refugees.
Yeah, only because it's a crossing.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Portugal. I mean, the most European countries basically say we don't take any refugees, and Merkel deal with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, okay, that's the sovereignty the states have, and all right. So, and I mean, I can also understand.
The point that I was trying to make, the point that I was trying to make was that if refugees were generally trying to walk out of like war-torn places, why wouldn't they settle in places like Portugal or Spain that don't have a very good welfare system? That wouldn't even let them come on.
Well, I mean, imagine you are a refugee and you have like a bunch of states and you can pick one freely, like whatever you like. Then it is very likely that you either choose the country with the strongest economy, so that would be Germany, or you choose, and that is even more likely, you choose a country where you speak the language, and most people speak English. So obviously, England is the first choice in Europe. I can get that to a degree. I mean, if you ask them, if you leave them only the choice to go back to Syria or go to Portugal, then I'm sure everybody would go to Portugal. But that is not the choice. They are within the European Union. There are like 20-something countries. So they pick the one that is most convenient for them. I can totally get that.
I'd like to move to Saudi Arabia and open up a church, start a church.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so is that okay, Welchmans?
No.
For me, yes, but maybe not for the Saudis.
No, I'm asking for you. Is that okay? Because you seem to love to put yourself in all kinds of people's positions, as long as you get a good feeling out of the idea. But you don't seem to like to look at things through the lenses of reality.
What do you mean?
Hang on a second. Through reality and through logic. Because you only ever weigh things in the balance of feelings and what is, what is right and what would I want if it was done to me. That's not the way the world works. Until I can move right now, until America is bombed and I'm a refugee and I can move to Saudi Arabia or any other place, Jordan. But you dig what I'm saying? Any place you can mention in the middle, anywhere in the Middle East. Then no. I don't agree with anything you say about this. They should not be taking refugees. They do not want to go to places that speak their language. If they do, it's places that speak their language, like Common Sense said, where they have these faith schools and they never learn the language of English. So yeah, they want to go there. No, it's not. They're going where people are opening the doors. They're opening the doors. And I know it's a bad situation. I would like to be able to just give every kitten a home and not see one dog be euthanized, and to have every human fed and everything else. But when I hear, people say things like, well, they should be put on the same list, which is what you said, Welchmere Stories. You said that somebody in England that was homeless, that was a refugee, should be put on the same level as an English person without a flat. No, they shouldn't. They should be put way in the back of the line. They should be put behind the immigrants that are there legally, that are coming, that aren't even English. And so I don't know. There's my big old spiel on that. I just don't like feelings-based crap. And feelings-based crap, all the we're sorry we were Nazis and we got to open our doors to every moron now. That's why my daughter-in-law don't live there anymore, because she was starting to feel the pressure from this certain group of people, and she couldn't wear her short shorts anymore and be a beautiful German girl. She had to leave, and so she did.
Okay, but I mean that is leading nowhere. I mean, if you accept refugees into your country and then you deny them housing, you deny them welfare, and you deny them jobs. Wait a second. Then what do you end up with?
You missed my point, though, sir. Hang on. You missed my point. I wouldn't allow the refugees in my country. So go from that, because you said if you do. So if you want to make whatever point you're making, make it on the assumption that I would not let any of the refugees we're talking about right now into my country.
All right. Yeah, then Americans do a better job and kill them all. And make sure that nobody can leave their country. But don't bomb their countries back to Stone Age and then claim, oh, they are all leaving their countries. What an evil society. I mean, that is rubbish. Then take your nukes them right from Earth.
Who was bombing them when they flew the planes in the World Trade Center? Who was bombing them that day? No, you got it wrong, sir. You have it wrong. They started.
Shall we take a step back, gents?
A handful of morons.
Shall we take a step back? Let's take a step back.
Hang on. They started a fight with the United States, and just because they lost it,
they didn't start. What do you mean by they? That's ridiculous.
By they, I mean the Muslims.
There's one asshole shooting at the Las Vegas thing. Are you bombing Vegas? That's ridiculous.
It's coming out now that he was in cahoots with the Muslims too. It's funny that you mentioned that person.
There were a handful of crazy people led by a person who is a personal friend of George Bush, and then you start bombing the shit out of 7 countries? That's ridiculous.
We take a step back, lads? Let's take a step back.
Yeah, and we can. I just think that sunlight is the best disinfectant. And when you get this is what it all comes back to. Well, you bomb somebody. No, man, come on. So you kill them and they can't get out? No, we didn't. No, it's not like that. If you're going to go down to that, you're going to support the people that don't let women go out in public unless they're covered in a trash bag in the desert heat. Those are the people you're going to defend.
Well, I've got a different question. I've got a different question. If you are saying that people, Watchmen, if you are saying that America has been bombing all of them, which we agree, that's fine. We do agree they have done, but for particular reasons. Why in the hell would you want to go to the country that has just bombed you?
They are not going to the countries that just bombed you. They are going to Germany. Germany is not bombing these countries.
UK did.
In the beginning of that is true, yes.
I'm not going to double team you, but good point.
I just wanted to put that out there, that's all.
Yeah. But you also saw the protests all over the UK, people protesting that UK stepped into this war.
Stories. I saw everybody in the whole of the United, in the European Union protest. I saw everybody outside of the Houses of Parliament protest. The first or second biggest protest that has ever been assembled outside of the Houses of Commons. I know this. I was one of the people that were there.
Exactly. So there is a difference between some idiots, if they are in government or else, or sitting in a cave elsewhere,
Hang on.
and a whole society.
Let me cut in. Welshmere stories will like this one. So please, somebody explain this to me too. It says, Binary Surfer says, would someone please smack Ogre with a dick and ask him to stop conflating migrant refugees and asylum seekers? I would like to forego the phallus slapping, but what the hell is he talking about? I know what he's talking about.
It's the fact that migrants are different to immigrants and immigrants are different to refugees.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, and I agree with that. I'm going to stand firm in one thing and say, Welshmerts, I feel like when I listen to you and when we talk about a lot of things, man, you're so smart. You're like, you sound so German and you're so Prussian and you're, you know,
unfortunately, yes.
No, see, that's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. I think a lot of the things, and it's a collective thing. They're trying to do it to the United States right now with the whole you invented slavery when it's still around and it was around way before us. They're trying to do it with England with the whole, oh, you need to accept acid attacks in your country. And before I know it, common sense guy will be the one telling me again, like he did just a minute ago, but bring it back. Because I don't want to, you know, we got to have fun and make it interesting. But excuse me, I do appreciate your common sense guy. I mean, yes, we can't let it devolve into just a complete shouting match ever. It's crazy. Fun for a little bit. But you see what I mean? I just would, I've said it to you before. I look forward to the time when people all around the country, but more than anyone right now, the Swedish, the Germans. I mean, why do you all feel like you owe it to someone that is coming in, right? And I guess this is rhetorical, I should say, too, unless you want to answer. I'm not trying to get you to say anything about your country. But why would you feel like you owe it to someone that once they are there, and even you are even so benevolent and so kind that you equate them. You're saying, no, if they're there, they don't have a flat, they're equal. You equate them. And believe me, I'm not trying to say one human is better than another. I'm just saying that when it comes down to a finite amount of resources and people that need taken care of, unfortunately, some kitty cats and some doggies get euthanized. And I guess I'll leave it at that. That was my way of cooling down and saying, hey, you know, whatever. That's why I like stories, Welshmert's common sense, because he is the difference between the world he would like it to be and the world that is really here.
Yeah, well, I always love talking to Welshmere stories simply because it challenges my ideas, and I hope he enjoys talking to us because we challenge his.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the reason I'm here. I mean, that is, I mean, why should I go into my own echo chamber? That is not doing me any favor. I mean, I want to listen to your ideas and then see if I can adjust mine or not.
You know what I want to do? I'm going to cut myself out of it because I'm the one, once again, that had to have common sense guy yell at me. It's just the way it is. That's why one of the reasons you're here, common sense. Just embrace it or tell me to piss off. Thank you for doing that. But let me leave this to you folks, and we'll start with Welshmere's if we can on this delicate topic. If you can do it on this live stream and in a reasonable amount of time, and I think you can, what is the solution? You know, when we start talking about, oh, you only get so many, then people say, well, you're putting a cat. I mean, so what is the solution where we would be able to help ones around us or whatever, help people and feel good about who we are as a country, but still not allow some kind of element to come in? Look, Lily knows about this. She's German. She's fully German. She's like digging over there. She's like, man, they're making my people feel bad. I didn't mean it, because her ancestors tore Jews to pieces, bro. I made sure I know her bloodline. It's Lucky Lily Longsnout, and I'm Jewish. That's why I bought her. I could have got a Roddy or something like that, but I just like the Doberman, and I know. Like I said, I got her bloodline. Anyway, look, I'm talking. She knows. She's so smart, bro, that she knows I'm talking about her. I said her name once or twice, and anyway. There you go. So what could we do about it? In some kind of summary that would let us feel good about who we are. And I just want to let common sense wrap up on this because who knows? I may agree with him or you.
Sorry, what?
What can we do to make ourselves feel good about something, and then there's something missing?
No, what I've asked, so let me be very clear without a long story about my dog. When we consider that we want to help folks, and in this situation, we're talking about refugees, because that's what was brought up. That's what triggered me, was when I heard refugees should be on an equal playing field with British people that don't have a flat. If you don't have enough flats for people in your country, you can't take refugees. Refugees are people fleeing war. England's a long way from any place that people are in war. They would have to get on a plane. I mean, usually when you think of refugees, they're, again, long story. So what would we do in this case that we could feel good about what's going on and maybe help these people and also protect ourselves against an element that may want to infiltrate and hurt us? Was that clear enough and quick enough?
Yes, yes.
Yep. Do you want to go first, Welshmith? Or do you
Yeah,
want me?
please. Welshmith, I want you to wrap it up, Common Sense. I want you to hear what he has to say, just because we have the home field advantage.
The simple answer is you cannot protect against these retards that want to set the world on fire. If you want to call them terrorists or whatever you want to call them, there is no way that you can protect yourself, because we will always have terrorists, and the whole, you can look through mankind and through the last 2,000 years or longer, there were always people who are terrorists, and you can't avoid that. That is normal human nature. That is how life works. The question is, and that is my opinion, I think that we pay way too much attention to these terrorists, because when you see how many people they really kill or bring to hospital or whatever, that are so small numbers that it does not really matter. It matters for the persons who get shot, of course, and their families, yeah. But statistically, that is basically absolutely nothing. And we can't have a life that is completely safe from every single imaginable danger. That is simply not possible. When you let people into your country, may they be refugees or immigrants or whatever, there will be an amount of people who are nuts. That's the way life works. I don't say that's a good thing, or I don't want to support these guys, but that is the nature of life, that there are some morons who want to kill everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Personally, I don't really have too much of a problem with what you said. It's more of a case of the fact that everything in Europe at the moment is free and open borders, meaning that nobody really knows who's in their country, nobody really knows what's going on. I know Watchmiths will go, oh yeah, but we've all written it down. How do you know if people are crossing the borders without anybody actually on the borders? There's no way of actually physically knowing. Yeah. You could say, oh, but people actually coming on and signing on. Well, they don't need to. They can have 5 people in the room.
I basically agree with you. I basically agree, yes.
Yeah, sorry. I wasn't trying to drive the point home to you. It's to general people. But yeah, you've got all of those issues that are coming across. I don't generally have a problem with immigrants or anybody that's coming over. Don't really have a problem with them. I really don't. I'm not that bothered. It's the fact that they come over so fast, so quick. And when people go, oh, you don't understand what the difference between an immigrant and a refugee is. Yeah, I do. Immigrants are ones that are just coming over just because they want to come over. Refugees are actually coming over because of supposed wars that are going on. The amount of refugees that are supposedly supposed to be coming into Europe is absolutely dwarfed by the whole population of Syria. By that, what I mean is Syria, the population, is completely dwarfed by how many people are coming across to actual Europe. It is absolutely dwarfed. And all of them are claiming that they're coming from, I know some people will go, oh, they're coming from Iraq, they're coming from Syria, they're coming from these type of places. Fair enough. It still gets dwarfed by how many people are coming across, because they're coming across from Somalia and places from Africa as well, which they are migrants. That's the difference. But they are illegally coming across. They're illegal migrants. And that's the difference. And the fact that you can't, once they come into the country and then they get vetted wherever they vetted, whether it be at Italy or Greece or wherever they come over, or Turkey in some places, and then they make their way into Europe, they're lost into the nothingness. And then it's people like Welshmit Stories, like myself, in Germany and in the UK and in other places that do have all of these decent places, that they get built up communities. And the problems that I have is not the people coming over and making communities, it's the fact that they don't integrate. And as we've said before, people that don't speak the language, whether it be German, Italian, English, or whatever, they don't learn the language, they don't go off and they don't learn how to do jobs that are in this country or whatever. And then because they don't do that, their children don't either, because they go to faith schools instead. And then all they know is their religion and their community, which means as soon as they meet other people, it's the same thing as what it would be if we were hidden away. We would have prejudice towards those people. Now, I'm not trying to say that this is wrong or right. It's just the way that it is. It's just an intellectual point. It just is common sense. If you have people that are hidden away in different communities, they are going to stay in their communities.
Man, you love to do that. I feel like it's my cue.
Yep.
You love to. No, let's go ahead. But I feel like it's my cue. It's like, it's common sense. No, I was going to say something here. Just say, I mean, I have an idea and say, really, Mr. Ogre? One moment, sir. Well, Britisher, I thought that you. Hang on a second, Brett. Aren't you on vacation? I thought you had a lot of stuff. Really? Ogre, if you will, just one moment, sir. I have a lot of things going on in Bosch with the family and whatnot, but I had to pipe in and say, I've told you time and time again. As Welshmit has said, we can't pay too much attention to this Bosch, sir. Lighting underwear on fire in washrooms and what? Nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be worried about. So a few terrorists get in, nothing. Well, okay, Brett, I thought you were busy, man. If that's all you have to say. Well, really, Mr. Ogre's almost finished, if you will. Well, yeah, well, okay. I can't keep flashing back and forth. Bye, Brett. Thank you, Mr. Ogre. Remember, North Korean whatnot, not a big deal. Carry on and be British. Thank you. Now you made a good point. Look, even the British agreed. The one thing that we can't do is, when we're considering these things, is give a lot of credence to terrorists. I mean, you know, when we think it's not, that's because that's not what I'm worried about. When I think about these things, is I don't. Okay, people get blown up and it sucks. And I'm sorry I used the 9/11 thing. I mean, come on, man, you're at them, and I'm trying to pull out all the punches too. Because if we give too much credence to them, it gives too much credence to them. You know, I don't know what else to say. But in that same vein, man, they're coming and changing our culture. This is what I'm trying to spit out. I've avoided it twice, common sense, but I'm going to say it. They're trying to change our culture. You know, common sense is saying it. If you listen to what he's telling you, it's not that they're coming in. Hey, let them come in. It's that they're coming in and they're not assimilating. They're not becoming part. You know, you hear all this stuff about, oh, no, cultural appropriation, this and that. And then pretty soon, everything on the street is a kebab shop or selling shawarma. You know? And I love shawarma. I enjoy it. I love a good kebab. But, you know, come on. I still want to get beans and rice and some kind of burrito somewhere. That's what I love. But I get, cultural appropriations. I got to give it to the Mexicans. They've really assimilated here well, for the most case. Some of the loud ones, just like some of the loud whiteys and blackies and every loud mouth, everything, everywhere, they're a little loudmouth. But for the most part, man, Mexicans are great to have around. Boy, that was racist, wasn't it? Comments says, like, I love my Mexicans. Let me tell you what, brother. I loves me some Mexicans. They pick your dag-nab vegetables and whatnot.
Can I answer to this? Because I think that common sense guy already made the point, and he said these people are coming into our countries and they don't want to assimilate, blend in. And yes, exactly, that's true, because they are not immigrants. And a Mexican is typically an immigrant, or all the people from Turkey we have here in Germany. They are immigrants. They like our society. They want to blend in, and they want to become a part of the society, and they are not a problem. But with the refugees, that's definitely different. Some want to stay in our society, some want to become Germans, but many of them, they are just forced to leave the country, and they have not really made up their mind, or maybe many want to go back and they prefer their culture and so on. And of course, this is creating some tension. That is not a question. And we have problems with it. I wouldn't deny that at all. And we have to deal with these problems. Sure. So, yeah.
I know that Ogre asked you this in a different way before, but I'm not going to ask about no-go areas or anything else like that. But in different places, you would say that there's definitely communities of different forms of refugees then that have formed and formulated in different areas and taken over those areas, so to speak. Not as in physically going around and beating people necessarily, but do you know that it's a Muslim area or a refugee area?
Well, yeah, we handle the things in Germany a little bit differently. We are still in favor of these concentration camp idea. And that is pretty much what we do with these refugees. And not in terms of killing them, but putting them all together at one place, one concentrated place, and make sure they stay within this place. So basically that means we are taking like shipping containers and then build some homes out of these containers and put them into these containers and then say, fuck you. That is the German way.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
I'm not in favor. I'm only describing how we do it. And that's probably not the smartest way to do it, but that's the German way.
Well, that's the same as what it is in the UK. Maybe not using the freighter crates or the carrier crates or whatever, but we've made them form different communities. Instead of put them all into one particular area in whatever county or city or town that they're supposed to be in, why not spread everybody about? It forces integration. Because your neighbor doesn't speak the same language, you're going to have to learn that language. Now, that's not trying to say to them that I want them to be forcibly put out and not have any sort of contact with anybody that they know. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm trying to say is that if you put myself, who has absolutely no comprehension of foreign language whatsoever, and you put me somewhere in Spain, and I had nobody that was speaking English next to me, I would learn fucking Spanish.
And yes, Sardonic 7. I rarely, and everybody knows, common sense, I rarely do this, maybe once or twice a stream. But Sardonic 7, yes. When you hear Welchmer's stories with a German accent talk about putting people in cattle carts and whatnot, I get a little nervous.
Yeah,
you notice that when
you
said that, I was looking around like, holy shit, the Reichstag and shit, they're coming to get me. It's all on. It's all on. Jew bear Jew, baby, bear Jew. I'm sorry. No, that was just funny. It was funny. And you know what? That's what kills me, Welchmers, is I have to censor myself when you're here. Not only do I sometimes, I mean, you were just on and I started to blabber on about stuff I'm not going to bring up again and blah, 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 blah. And I got to remember, no, man, he's actually in a position where the whole fucking world seems to hector him about something he had nothing to do with. It's time to look. I've said it like this third time, and I'll leave it alone. I feel like I know it's time for the world to move on. I don't owe anybody nothing. Look, listen. I will let it go that my people, under duress, mind you, built the pyramids. I'll let it go, man. You don't have to tear that shit down like they took the statues down. You don't have to tear down the Great Pyramids of Giza. I'm gonna let it stand. We'll leave that alone. And I don't want reparations. I will speak now for all the Hebrew people on earth. And I believe I can confidently do that, honest to God. I will speak now for all the Hebrew people on earth and say, well, let it go. We're going to let it go. Can't we all just get along? Rodney King said, can't we all just get along? Can't we move on? You know, and just don't tell me about white people in America, because I happen to be white and American at the moment. Don't tell me about like this and that. And don't tell me about German people and therefore this and that. No, this is done and gone. We now agree. German people agree the Jews are fine. I'm Jewish. Weltzmer Stories is German. He has never, ever, 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 ever. And I think if I was German, I wouldn't be a good one, because he knows I'm Jewish. He's never made any kind of crack. I want to be very clear on air about that. No kind of jokes, nothing. Not even a tiny bit. Time to move on from that shit. But yeah. You noticed that Sardonic 7 when he was like, people in cattle cars, that was just a Freudian slip. A Freudian, I know. Leave me be. I was told by also one more thing. I won't say who this time, Common Sense, because I mentioned one person there, and I don't want to use up my 2 shots. Someone else said something about stick to English when I did the Britisher. Wow. Or stick to my redneck. Well, thank you. That was spur of the moment. It was hard. I like to do stuff that's kind of tingling to my soul.
No, that's fine. Shall we do one more topic and then possibly call it a night, or what do you want to do?
Shit, I'm ready whenever you are, man.
Let's ask everybody, do they have a particular topic that any of us want to talk about? And that includes you as well, obviously, Stories, because you've just come on. If you have any other topic you want to talk about, please let us know.
See, they're doing it. Everybody wants to get noticed and said something to about now. By the way, before you go on to everybody, I've said my topic. So, I mean, I would take us on into a direction that would carry on for another hour or so. So, I'm good.
We're going to give that one a miss. Carry on, Stories.
No, I just wanted to say I don't have a topic because there's not so much going on in the world right now. I mean, you can make a little fun of Germany because we are not, we cannot get our government in place. So that is kind of ridiculous, but that's a German thing, and nobody should worry.
That one I actually found that one I actually find quite funny. That the actual same party that formed a coalition last time with Merkel's party has decided that they're not going to form a coalition this time, and they're going to actually go back and have another election. I find that quite funny.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that they can't. The other party you were mentioning is the SPD, the socialistic German party. It's more or less like the Democrats in the United States, and the CDU, Merkel's party, is like the Republicans, and they had a coalition for the past few years, and the problem is that less and less people are voting for the socialists when they form a big coalition. And so that was the reason why they said, oh, we can't go on with this, because then in a few years we have only 5% of the votes.
And Common Sense, I got to do this because this guy pays us to be here from time to time. But Byner, and I don't know what the hell he's talking about. He says, here's an easy topic. But he's the German is here. So here's an easy topic. The AFD in Germany.
Isn't that the, before Welshman Story answers, isn't that the right wing form of government there, as in like a conservative type thing?
Yeah. That is, they are probably right from the alt-rights in America. They are extremely on the right side.
Wow. Okay.
It's almost, I mean, many people consider them to be Nazis, and that is true for a part of the people within the party. Not for all of them, but they have a massive degree of Nazis within this party. That is very far right.
Well, in that case, then, from my own little personal view of them myself, I mean, I've looked at them, and I've looked to the point of where they were saying that they're going to try and get rid of all of immigration at this moment in time for when they were doing the advertising. And it can't happen. The way that they're trying to portray it is it just can't physically happen. Even I wouldn't be saying that we would get rid of all immigration.
Yeah, and they said even worse things. They said we should have armed troops at the border and we should shoot at the refugees.
Yeah, even I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Even I wouldn't say that.
Of course.
Even I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Well, and I would say that you shouldn't shoot at the refugees if the country decided to put up a border and say no one can come through. If they started to come through and you couldn't stop them, as in they were using force, yes, but at that point, oh my Lord, that is, I hope not. I hope it doesn't get to that, and if it has, I really want everyone to just be able to make it in this life. It's tough enough when you're easy like me. I mean, you hear me, Common Sense, and you hear me, Welchmeers. I love to argue. I love to have fun, but I love to argue. I love to debate. But you see the guitar right behind my head there, speaker over there. I poop in a thing that's got water in it, and I push the thing, and it takes the turds away. That, when you can measure your life that way, I know that sounds, I'm not trying to be sick either, but when you can measure your life that way, when I can walk right over there and relieve myself in that fashion and not know the difference because there's a fan that takes the odor away and water that flushes everything else away. You live in a wonderful world. And then I put everything else on top of that. The hot water that comes out of the tap on demand for a shower. The refrigerator that keeps food cold. My excess land where I can grow food to put in the refrigerator, and in my cellar. And my cellar where I keep my vegetables and stuff. I mean, I could go on. It would take too long. And it was just Thanksgiving, and I never really did give a list. But I weigh all these things, Welchmere, so I don't want you to think that I don't. When we discuss these hard topics, and I sound like I'm such a hard bastard to you, I know I probably do. The reason I'm that way is I always think of the ant and the grasshopper. And I think everybody knows the story, but very quickly, the grasshopper goes and sees the ant working all summer, and he's playing his fiddle and dipping in the creek, and he's like, "Hey, Mr. Ant, come join me." He's like, I gotta work, man. He's like, "No, join me, man. There's nothing to worry about. It's nice in summer." "No, I gotta work." And then when the winter comes, of course, the grasshopper goes to the ant's domicile, and he's dying. But that ant worked himself hard all summer to have his stores, and he just couldn't. He had a family in there. He had his own self, and he had people to take care of that he had already planned for. And Germany is one of these places. It might sound terrible, but I don't believe it. Remember the Treaty of Versailles. That's all I would ask you, Welchmere. It says, remember the Treaty of Versailles. When you talk about countries that bomb people and now they got a place to go and whatnot, remember the Treaty of Versailles. Remember how they did and are doing, it seems like, German people. You had nothing to do with the bombing. So why should you do with the aftermath? Anyway, go ahead, boys. It's a long thing for me because I don't want to be a dick. I got chickens here that should be long gone. This Thanksgiving, I should have had 4 roasted chickens, man, that were just, I know how they were taken care of. They're just, God take care of them, man. They just scratch and eat, and I give them corn, non-GMO. I mean, they're just fat. The last ones we killed, the fat came out of them. I'm not even kidding. We got a disc of fat out of one that just like fell out, like the belly fat. It was probably 3/4 pound. I should have weighed it. Anyway, look, that was long. And it's because I guess you're right, Common Sense. I filibuster too. What the hell? I mean, there's a lot. I'm so soft. I don't want to kill my birds, but my countrymen. I think about. We just had. You just got on the offensive on here with Oozaloo on. One thing I see a thread through the British people, and Britisher was here when on the offensive was on here, and what he always comes down to is, well, if my countrymen decide, you voted Brexit, Britisher voted Remain, but now it's done. You talk to Brit, no, time to go. We voted. Now I feel like, I've heard him say it so many times, I think I can repeat it verbatim. Now I feel we voted. It's time to carry on with what we voted on. That's it.
Yep.
No other thing to talk about.
I've got a quick question for Stories, because I would like his take on it. This actually comes from Susie Monkey. How do we stop people coming to Libya?
How do we stop people coming to Libya? Are you referring to the extreme Islamic groups, or I mean, who's going to Libya?
Well,
I
that's
don't
what I would assume.
understand the question, to be honest.
Well, I'll quickly ask Susie Monkey to retype it out, just
Yeah,
so I can
clarify.
get it absolutely right.
Because I'm not sure what it is. You eat your chickens. Yes, Susie Monkey. I've killed 6 of them. And girl, I still got 130 chickens. And in 3 years of having them, the first winter, I killed 6 of them. Gave one to my neighbor, and I ate one. It was hard. It was delicious. I got to admit it. But no, as a rule, I don't. I need to be killing some right now. Because as I've read, just as y'all get this stuff together, as I've read, if I'm not a good farmer, I'm not a good, what they call it is a good husbandman. Hopefully y'all know what I mean by that. I'm not a good husbandman, which is a flock, a keeper of flocks or vines or, vineyard or a farm. And because if I was, man, I got some chickens out there that their feathers is like never right. And they're on the bottom of the pecking order. And if I had any real heart in me, I would eat those chickens because the meat's fine. They're just suffering, just even living. I'm not even kidding. You'd have to see my farm and the way that things go. There's about 20 chickens out there that could go, and it would be the best thing for them. It'd be good in my freezer. Anyway, yes, that's it. I hope y'all got it together to answer this question. Of Susie Monkey, did she did
No,
we give you
she
enough time,
did
Susie?
not.
So come on, man. Oh, in fact, she's talking about Africans, okay, but chickens, no, come on, Susie. That was the thing. But if not, we'll move on from it. But we got a question here from you. We just needed some clarification. I went off on something else you said. See how that worked, common sense?
Yeah.
And while I'm like saying what I meant, Susie Monkey, was by we'll get it. I meant you. We'll get it together while I filibustered for a second. So we know now from that common sense, we know that we maybe should think about it before we have her on the show, or she'd have to get cues like, no, I'm just teasing.
She's kind of rephrased it. It's not just 1 million there; millions more want to come. And I think she means the refugees that are waiting in Libya.
Yeah, well, that I think that is more or less propaganda that is set up to scare the hell out of the people. Because when we look at the numbers, the peak of the refugees is long gone. That is like 2 years away, or two or 3 years away. So it's quite a while, and the numbers of the refugees dropped massively. And that was in the beginning of the refugee crisis. And everybody said, yeah, well, the whole countries will rush into Europe. And yeah, well, what can I say? I mean, what Susie Monkey also said is that Africa in general is a huge mess. And there are many scientists who claim that in the future, but nobody knows if they are talking about 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years, more and more Africans will come to Europe because their economies, they suck completely, they have wars in their countries, and so on. And that is something we have to address, but we don't have to address it right now. Sorry.
And we have to placate our the people that pay us common sense. So, and I'm waiting for a PIN number. Apparently, you just elevated to treasurer. Berkshire taking a little vacation, so apparently you've elevated to treasurer. So whatever has been accumulated, and you'll see the whole thing. Whoever is going to, well, if it hopefully God, it doesn't become me. If it does, I almost feel like I should refund it. But so here it goes. This is from Captain Colepile because he's one of those people that is putting stuff in your treasury. He says, he said, common sense guy, ask stories to explain. I have no idea what he's talking about. Ask Chinese stories to explain the Chinese shadow theater experiment. And I know we could all just read it. So I want to ask it again clearly. He says, ask stories to explain his Chinese shadow theater experiment. What is that?
Yeah, I set up a little experiment that I did with Captain Copile, and he liked it, and I have to find it. I think hopefully I haven't deleted it already. That is a little experiment that deals about truth and different opinions. Oh damn! I think I have Have I deleted it? I can't
Oh,
find
I thought
it.
this was going to be like dynamic and fun. So you and Captain Copile got together and said, let's talk about something stupid to make the stream look stupid. But no, I'm just teasing. Yeah, I see you boys are just cohorts now. Now get your stuff together. Like I said, what is the shadow? What is this? What is it?
Wait a second.
Okay, I'll keep waiting.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll give you my quick take on Libya. My feeling is that with all the boats that are in the Mediterranean at this moment in time that are actually supposed to be policing the territories, when they get boats, they shouldn't be taking them to our dry land. They should be taking them back to Africa again, back to Libya, simply because they are illegal. Whether you want to call them refugees for some of them actually fleeing war, or if you want to call them migrants when they're just trying to escape their countries for political reasons. It doesn't matter. You have to apply for asylum properly. You can't just start traveling across different borders, especially risking your life for doing it as well. The more people that travel from Libya that come across, so that go either to Italy or go to Greece or go to Turkey or go to wherever, some even go into Spain and everywhere like that at this moment in time, they shouldn't be encouraged by people that are taking them back to Europe. They should be taken back to Africa to make them realize that they are not going to make it if they get caught, not help them come across. Because all they got to do now is get halfway, which means they'll take bigger and bigger risks to get across. It's just, that's just my take on it. You can't encourage people to do something and then say, oh, they're doing something really wrong, and then you're still encouraging it. Again, it makes no sense. I can see that Story seems like he's ready to start, so we'll let him carry on.
All right. Hopefully my screen is sharing.
Yeah, I'll share you, but nothing, no copyright infringements or anything like that, right?
No. It's all my. It's
all you. Take it away, Stories.
All right. So the Chinese theater experiment. You know what a Chinese theater is? It is basically that you have objects behind a screen and a light source behind it, and then you can see the silhouettes of these things. That is how a Chinese theater works.
With a narrator, yes.
Exactly. And I would like to show you some shapes, that look like these Chinese theater shapes. And they are only two-dimensional, of course. And you should find out what three-dimensional object casts these shadows. And I would like you to say it like quickly, not think about it too long, just
okay, so hang on. So we're going to start with common sense. Let's do one at a time then. Because if we both shout out, so you're going to show us something that's made with a three-dimensional object. It's going to make a shadow. And we have to guess what it's made from as quickly as we possibly can.
Right.
And how many of these do you have?
2.
Well, that's one apiece.
Yeah, I show you the next thing. What casts this shadow?
Sun.
What casts, not what is the light
sun.
Source. What casts? The sun is not.
Sun 3 times. The sun's behind the eclipsing moon.
Okay, a moon.
I said answer as fast as I can. I said
moon. Okay, right. Common sense. What do you say?
I say a penny.
All right. The idea behind it was a sphere. So a moon is a sphere. So let's say that's all right. Okay, next one.
Wait, hang on. You take this one, common sense. I won't say anything. I yelled at first, and I'll come up behind you.
You can both yell right away. You can both yell right away.
Okay, well, it's just we want to hear it. When we do that, it's garbled when people are listening. That's why. So go ahead, common. Let's take this one.
It's a rectangle. That's the shape.
Exactly. Okay, a cigarette pack would be a cube, right? A cube.
Rectangle, like, yeah.
A cigarette pack is basically a cube.
Yeah, okay.
And the moon is a sphere. So okay. But right. I mean, okay. Now take a little more time and think again. What geometric three-dimensional objects could cast this one? We have a sphere. That was what we found out in the first. But now when you take some time, what
It's still a
object?
sphere.
Yeah,
A
a
ball.
sphere, and what other object could cast such a
I
shadow?
feel like the point of this is to make me stare at this object for a while, but
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Well, it's a sphere, it's a ball. If you're talking about the full object, it could be a brick, as in the square with a hole in the middle of it.
When you take a penny and then you have like 10 pennies on top of each other,
it's a webcam.
what kind of geometrical shape would it be? When you put like 10 pennies one on top of each other.
A cylinder.
Exactly. So this could be a sphere and it could be a cylinder. But to figure out that this could be a cylinder as well takes some time. It takes some effort to think about it. What object can cast this? And the first impression is always, yeah, that's a sphere. And it takes some time to recognize that this could also be a cylinder. All right. Now think about this one. It could be a cube, and what else could cast such a shadow? I make it easy for you. It's also a cylinder, right? Because when you have a cylinder from the side, then it would cast such a shadow.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So
oh man, I feel like it's just
this is the object that could cast both shadows. And that is the point behind it. We have our different angles of view, and somebody will see a circular shape, a circular shadow, and somebody will see a rectangular shadow. And we are both right. Yeah, and when you think about it for a short time, then one side would say, okay, this is a sphere, what I'm seeing. And the other side would say, yeah, this is a cube that I'm seeing. And if you want to find common ground, and if you want to find the truth, then you need more time to think about it. Then you have to create some theories. What else could it be? And then if you join both views, then you can probably find out, yes, it is really a cylinder. It is not a sphere, it is not a cube, it is a cylinder. But that requires that both ideas, both point of views come together, and that both sides really think about their ideas and not take the first guess and then, yeah, that's the solution and I don't want to hear anything else. So
yeah, the only thing that I'll say about this experiment is that there is only one right answer, though. And that is the only thing that actually casts a shadow. There is only one actual answer for it. It's fine saying, oh, we have different views, but there is only one answer. So the whole experiment is flawed.
No, it is not.
No, he is kind of right, but not really. You know, what I was thinking is that was a great deal, but at least for, like people like me, tell me in advance that there is one answer. Well, though you did well. I don't know. I'm just trying to tailor it to me now. That was actually cool. I thought it was cool. But he is right. There was only one answer, so God. Oh, but it was good. That was good. I thought it. I mean, it makes sense too. It makes a good point. The old cylinder and cube. What was racking my brain's common sense. Help me, man, because he wants to connect the shape that it can make from the same thing. What cube? I think of a square. Even after he said cube, and you're given the definition, I'm like, cube. Is that a cube? What is it? You even said rectangle. I would go with circle and rectangle.
Yeah, that is the shape that you see.
I would go with circle and rectangle, though, to get when you do this test in the future for students or whatever you're doing this for. I would go with circle and rectangle. What do you think, common sense? Because
no, but that is exactly wrong. That is exactly wrong because
I got so lucky on cylinder. I really did. When you just said that, I was racking my brain. I was going, and I'm pretty good at puzzle solving. And it was, anyway, go ahead.
The thing is, I mean, that is the idea behind it. When we discuss like whatever political problem, like say refugees, then you have your point of view, and these refugee crisis casts kind of a shadow. And from your point of view, you see only one shape that is formed, and you are describing this shape that you see. And that is not wrong. You are not having like really wrong arguments. Yeah, but you don't see the full picture. But from your point of view, you can't see the full picture. And now you have a person like me, and I can't see the full picture either. Because I
and
see.
that's why, yeah, but that's why the experiment's flawed, my friend. Because no matter what question you ask, there is only one answer. Whether your side is right or whether my side's right or whether the alien that's watching us side's right, there is still only one correct answer. And that's why the whole experiment's flawed.
No, yeah, there is only one correct answer. But the point is, you can only come up with this answer when you unite the ideas. When I listen to your ideas and the points that you are making, and you are listening to my points and my arguments, then we have a chance to find out what animal is behind the screen, what shape is behind the screen. If we don't listen to each other, then we can never find out, because we both have our own perspectives, and from our perspective, my shape, the shape that I see, is different from the shape that you see. And I can claim I saw a sphere the whole time and I can stick with it, but that's wrong. And you can claim you always saw the cube. Yeah, because that's what you saw. Yeah, but that's also wrong. And only if we combine our personal points of view, then we have a chance to find out what else it could be and what it really is.
And it turned out to be a circular piece of metal, a circular metal rod.
Yeah,
and that's the correct answer.
That was a little Freudian. Yeah. So, what do you think, boys? You were saying it before, and that was great, man. Somebody prodded us into continuing, and right now, Common Sense, we're at 2 hours and 31 minutes, and we all know the rules. We won't go over 3 hours. It really messes with the algorithm. And as much as I would just love to talk for, I don't know, what am I saying? I just did it.
I can do another 15 minutes.
Yeah. So let's end it now, and just say that thank you so much, Welchmertz, and for swinging by. And you know the story. You know the story. You like that, Welchmertz? Come by. You know the story, but you know the story. We'll give everybody a chance to say whatever they want to say, and I'll try to be a gentleman through the whole deal. We'll start with you.
With whom?
You, low man on the totem pole. It's always you.
Oh, all right. So Ogre asked me for the final words to talk about Marxism and communism. So I will do that. Yeah, he asked me to. What can I say? Well, the point is, obviously everybody knows Marxism is the best system in the world, and no, of course not. Well, I'm a Marxist, and some people know, some people don't. And the thing is, when we talk about Marxism, then this guy wrote really a lot of stuff, and when you buy the book or one book of Marx, then you don't need to buy the whole book. What I mean by that is you don't need to believe in everything what he wrote. You can also pick some different thoughts of him and say, okay, this is maybe not the worst idea he had on this point, and this is maybe not the worst idea he had on that point. And it's the same thing if you buy the Bible. Maybe everybody would say that the 10 Commandments were a great idea, while like killing every woman and every baby, which is also a part of the Bible, is maybe not the greatest idea. And that is the whole thing with Karl Marx. And pick an idea and make your mind up if you like this idea or if you hate it. And if you hate one of these ideas, then you should have a reason why you hate this idea. But don't take the whole book, then compare it with something that has nothing to do with the book, like, oh, you know, communism always fails cause Soviet Union. That is not a point, because Karl Marx, unfortunately, was not talking about Soviet Union. So take the book, make your mind about the different ideas, and then let's discuss these ideas, if they are correct or if they are wrong. And I don't like everything Marx wrote either. For example, the Communist Manifesto, that is, in my opinion, that is satire and not more. While the Capital is a science book. So completely different things. And yeah, don't skip the whole idea if you don't know what the idea is. So that was my final word. Thank you, Mr. Ogre.
Well, I'm not going to go on to communism or Marx. I'm not even going to go on to capitalism. I'm not even going to entertain that idea. The only thing that I would really say is there are different forms of, as we've said, immigrants, immigration, refugees. There are different kinds, and even different kinds of people obviously traveling. To the point where Susie Monkey, yes, we talk about you a lot because you make some very good points. I was talking to her in the comment sections about a particular place where I've worked and where I assume that she lives, or at least visits. So we were talking about Boston in the UK, and a case that I have a perception, because I worked in the courts there, or in the courtrooms there, that it's gone down a bit in my estimation. Now, that's not to say that I dislike the refugees, or sorry, not the refugees. I dislike the immigrants that were there. I have no problems with them. I had no problems with them when I was there. They were polite. They enjoyed it. Well, they didn't enjoy it. Some of them got sent down, but that's not the point. The point I was making was, even though you do have different immigrants and you do have the points, as I was just saying, you have someone coming from Eastern Europe and you have some that are coming from the Middle East. Am I going to get on better with the ones that are in the Middle East that are so very similar to our culture in general, hard work ethic, making sure I look after different points and different views, making sure they're almost exactly the same culture? Or am I going to get on with the culture that is completely opposed and completely different to what I would actually consider what would be my opinion and what my culture is? What one would I actually go for? And I'd obviously go for the one that is similar to my culture, one that I can draw more common. I can draw more. Yeah, no, sorry, I was right. My brain's not working. Where I can draw more similarities from their cultures, where I can go out and have a drink with them, where I can enjoy what their company is, enjoy what's going on, enjoy their family ties and things like that. I can enjoy that. With people from the Middle East, I'm not saying that their culture is so different to what ours is, where I wouldn't be able to enjoy the company, but I would find it harder, because I wouldn't be able to go out and have a drink necessarily with them. I wouldn't be able to talk to their missus without their permission and things like that. It's completely different. And I think that's the point that I was trying to make all the way through this, is that there is different forms of immigration. There is different forms of immigration in general. To the point where, as I was just literally saying, and I will say it one more time, you will find more in common with people that are coming from obviously Europe, because they have the same culture or very similar. And that's the reason why we have such a problem with people from the Middle East. Not because we dislike them, but because their culture is completely different and they will not assimilate. They will not be culturally appropriated, God damn them. So, yeah, that's what my point is. Though some people will talk about immigration and refugees and things like that, and the nature of immigration in itself, that we don't lump all of immigration or immigrants in the same vein. When we say people are making their own countries and their own little communities, what we mainly mean is that they're on their own. They're not even talking the language. like to other people. Where most people from Eastern Europe always seem to, even though they talk to themselves, they also talk to English people themselves as well and have generally a good time. I'm kind of babbling, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it on to the Ogre.
Oh, you're doing great. Thank you so much, though. Somebody always waits until I'm taking a bong swat and then says they're going to pass it on to me.
You shouldn't put it up on the camera then.
Yeah, well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? In the end, there's a reason why I'm off camera, and a lot of the times it's because I'm smoking. Well, I've got a doobie in my hand a lot of the time, and I don't want to pander. You know what I'm saying? I don't want people to think I'm picking up a bong and smoking pot on air so that people watch for that. And yeah, common sense. I know there's, not a very big chance of that because we don't. That's not what we do. I mean, how often do we even talk about weed?
We don't.
We don't. I mean, like right now when I'm like, oh, I'm taking a bong swat. Just give me a second. So here. For the Queen. And that was a good one for it right there. That was a righteous, long live the Queen. Not even kidding. That was a good one. For anybody that cares to know, that was some outdoor grown what was that shit? Super lemon haze. Super lemon haze. Man, it was good. It was very good. So good, I forgot what the hell it was called. And that's why we don't talk about it here. So, I mean, here's the thing, folks. I take notes now, and I don't know. It may be good, maybe bad. Some of the things I remember and some of the things I've looked back on, I mean, I don't know, they were crap. Some of the things I don't even remember what I was trying to tell myself. And other times, like right now, I'm going to just say that here's the problem with Marxism. If we can take good ideas, if we can take and even though, we should talk about this one day. But if we can take good ideas, stories, but if we can take good ideas from Karl Marx or from Joseph Stalin, well, then we should be able to take them from Adolf Hitler, from Lucifer, from I would say Adam Weishaupt or Hegel. And I know I was just in a live stream. People were talking about Hegel, and what I mean by Hegel is the same thing that I mean when people talk about Edward Bernays. Just so I know, you two gathered here. Do you know who Edward Bernays was, John?
No, I don't. No, not off the top of my head.
I thought stories might, because he's really about.
No, I know that this guy exists, but I have no clue what he said.
Well, because I know that you're anti-propaganda. Because what Bernays was is he wasn't a propagandist. But when the United States wanted to go to war, wanted to take over Panama so they could finish the Panama Canal, let me not sugarcoat it. Edward Bernays was who they went to. They went to his firm because he was the one that got women smoking cigarettes. They wanted to take.
Bernays, the advertising guy.
That's who I'm talking about, dude. Wake up! Wake up! I just asked you.
I
just said his name and asked you. Are you paying attention now? Quiet down. It's my turn to speak. No. But what I'm saying is I'll say this. If we're allowed to say, and we are, if we're allowed to say that we should treat Marxism as a scientific manual, I would say a very old one that is mostly wrong, that thought that it was okay not to wash your hands when you were doing surgery. If we're treating it like that kind of scientific manual from 500 years ago, whatever, like it is, outdated manuscript that really has no place in modern society. Well, okay, I can see that. But other than that, it's scientific. But we could also say that we could glean good things from everyone. And whereas it makes me sick to my core when I see things, and I won't try to prod you boys no more because we're coming to a head here, and this is my thing. When I see a thing like I showed you there, Welchmans, I was shocked because there was like a 5-part series on Netflix, or YouTube about, I was like Adolf Hitler. And I started watching it because I watch a lot of stuff about the war and about World War I, World War II. I watched stuff about everybody. I love documentaries. So I see this thing about Adolf Hitler, so I started watching it. No, I mean, right from the off, it only took me about 10 minutes to realize, wow, this is I don't even know what to call it. This is it's an apologia. You know, it's Hitler apologists. Let me put it as simply as I know how to say it. And you know, it turned my stomach a little bit. I watched the whole first one, and I skimmed like at least 4 more, as in watched about 10 minutes of the next 4, so 40 more minutes, spanned out 10 minutes at a time, kind of like skipping forward to keep less than that, because it was all the same thing. But I gotta say, I don't know about what they were, how much of it was true and how much of it wasn't. But whatever there is good from a thing, we should take good. If there's a statue somewhere commemorating Joseph Stalin or Karl Marx somewhere, and I hope there is, I really do. There should be. I finally heard someone say that they needed to think about the statue of Albert Pike. And I noticed very quickly, and remember, I like Tucker Carlson, okay? But hear me out. Common sense, can I have 4 more minutes? If you'll look at the clock somewhere so I don't go run off the mouth, but I want to address this very quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, give me 4 minutes and then tell me to shut up. So look, I like Tucker Carlson, but I have to keep my eye on people. And when I see someone mention, and this guy was some crazy left-winger, man, I mean it. He gets these people on there. People he likes to argue. You can tell if you watch his show. And he mentioned Albert Pike statue, and bang, ended the conversation. Common sense guy ended the conversation. Welshman story. And I've long said that, wow, isn't it funny they're taking down all these statues, but there's this one statue of Albert Pike standing there in Washington, D.C. that no one says a word about. And if they do, they're silenced. And that thing wasn't over. You could tell how the segment went. It wasn't like, because he filibustered for a second. For what I mean by a second, in his realm, it was about 20 seconds before they really got keyed up and went to the segue or the commercial. I think it was a commercial. And man, listen, Albert Pike wrote Morals and Dogmas. You know, he was a Mason. He was one of the founders of the Masons. Why are the Shriners and the Masons Luciferians? I don't know. Why do these people say that they have certain agendas? I don't know, man. You really, honest to goodness, would have to go to get to deep down into the here and now with the agenda with these people. You'd have to go to them. But even from those folks, this would be, to me, I believe their agenda is domination. Okay. Just like it was in Mesoamerica, just like it was in a lot of ways in Rome, and it's much more after with the Roman Catholic Church. I mean, you think about it, we call it the Dark Ages, because knowledge and whatnot was suppressed. And as much as I have my faith, I love it when Common Sense Guy talks about the difference between faith and religion, because there is a difference, folks. Religion, we have to accept that words, whether or not we want to say sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me, that's true. But words have meaning and have power. And we have to ascribe the meaning to the words that we're saying. And religion is not a good thing. I don't associate with that word. I don't believe it's a good thing. Faith is a wonderful thing. So I hope I'm under my 4 minutes. And listen, folks, there was a lot of things I wanted to say tonight, but that was great. Stories, you know, everybody can believe what they want to believe. I just want to say that it's Che Guevara, and we have to say that we can take something good from everyone then. And I won't mention the H word more than I think I already did one story. So remember, folks, be good to your friends and good to your family members. Be quick to say you're sorry. Be even quicker to accept an apology, especially when that thing your friend, your family member, your loved one has done seems to be so huge you'll never be able to forget about it. Because you know what? At a time you don't know it's coming. Your friends, your family members, your loved ones, and everything you know will depart from you.